Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Glad to be with you, as is always the case. Show is brought to you today and every day by our friends over at Big Willie's. Now's the time of year where you're probably looking for a venue for your office party. Maybe you've got a big family and you don't want that mess to be at your house. You don't have to deal with the cleanup at church when you rent out the cultural hall. Big Willie's is the spot. 1717 South Main. Give them a phone call. Stop by. First of all, tell them you heard about Big Willie's on the Sean O'Connell Show. They'll enter your name in a drawing to win 2 club-level tickets to a Utah Mammoth game. And then you could say, hey, I want to have, a group of 25, 30 people for a Thanksgiving, a Friendsgiving. I want to do a Christmas party. Can you accommodate? They'll figure it out for you. Craft food, craft cocktails, cold beers on draft, all the soft drinks you can imagine, outlaw distillery partnerships. I mean, they really have a lot of great stuff going on at Big Willie's. And take a picture in front of the mural outside. 1717 South Main, Big Willie's, official sponsor of the Sean O'Connell Show. At Real OC Sports is the Twitter account. I want you all, you can also text them to us, I guess, at 877-353-0700. In honor of the Utah hand-painted helmet being revealed yesterday, and we talked about it, right? Tuesday said, hey, I think that dark mode video that they put out there, I don't think that is the helmet they're going to wear for the blackout game. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then Smith Snowden and Logan Fano sat down with us at the Red Zone store yesterday and said, yeah, I think we're going to get a reveal today on what it actually looks like. And we got the hand-painted shortly after the show yesterday.
Loved that part, by the way, where you're like, yes, you just kind of quietly, you seen the helmet.
You guys seen the helmet?
And they're like, oh, yeah. It's, like, basically, it's sweet. So, yeah.
So it's the drum and feather hand-painted. It's the artist take on an old-school original from one of the first hand paintings they did was a slightly different version of this. So I came here. My favorite Utah helmet ever is actually here in our studio. It is the satin red face mask with the giant reflective, still in red, by the way, so it's red on red on red, drum and feather logo. That's my favorite Utah helmet ever. So I took a picture of it. I posted it at Real OC Sports. I want you to give me your favorite Utah helmets ever. First one that comes in, the USS Salt Lake City hand-painted. That's I think, my favorite hand-painted. I like the wings. I like the original drum and feather. I like this drum and feather that they busted out. The Ty Jordan Aaron Lowe one is obviously for sentimental reasons and for like, wow, this is a really special – I mean, it's obviously tragic, but a really special tribute to those young men. That one is really incredible as well. And if you just like the regular, I mean, maybe the white Rose Bowl helmet. I don't even like white helmets.
But with the roses on the interlocking
with the rose coming through it, and the red one,
special.
The red one the following year was also incredible. There was a little more pop. I thought I would like the red one more than I like the white one, but there's just a little more pop in the contrast with the roses on the white one. So that one ended up being a favorite.
The wings one you mentioned, wasn't that in honor of Lauren McCluskey? Was that not?
I don't know if it was the one that's like actual.
They looked like angel wings or whatever.
No. It's the swoop. It's the red tail hawk wing.
Oh, okay. There's a different one. I think it was 2018. They wore it a little bit after. Unfortunately, Lauren McCluskey lost her life. That they wore, and I thought it was in tribute to her in part. Anyway, I'll have to look it up. I see you looking it up too. I remember it was Tyler Huntley. It was either 18 or 19 that they wore that.
In any case, let's just have a little bit of fun on a Thursday, and send me your favorite Utah helmets at Real OC Sports or at ESPN 700. The hand painted, so good. 9259 says the roses were all time. It is just it is. Chef's kiss, beautiful, that Rose Bowl helmet. There's at the Red Zone store yesterday. The black, again, I prefer a red helmet for Utah football in almost every case. All right, USS Salt Lake City is an exception. The white Rose Bowl helmet is an exception. The blackout helmets, I've always just been kind of like, all right, yeah, cool, whatever. I know the athletes like it. It's not my favorite thing. At the Red Zone store, they had the Ute Proud black with the, the center stripe of decal down the middle of the helmet. And then the U itself, the block U itself, has the beadwork patterning on it for the Ute Proud game. That is another sick helmet. The black Ute Proud helmet. So 877-353-0700 at Real OC Sports if you want to let me know your favorite helmets for Utah football as you get set for a blackout game Saturday night, University of Utah versus Cincinnati, ranked versus ranked, college game day. I mean, it's huge. And we'll talk about it plenty. We're going to have an opportunity to catch up with Eric Weddle on the show today. Trevor Riley was not able to join us yesterday because we were at the campus store and we were talking to a bunch of current student athletes, so he's going to join us today. Gordy Chiesa is coming up in just about half an hour here on the show. There's stuff happening on the national landscape of college football that, if it were not so obnoxious, it would also be hilarious. So LSU, I'm not going to talk a lot of LSU football on the Sean O'Connell show, okay? I'm not going to talk a lot of SEC, but LSU is in this situation right now where the governor of Louisiana is like, I'm going to appoint a board to hire the next LSU football coach because the athletic director at Louisiana State University, your Bayou Bengals leadership, that man is now, Woodward is now responsible for the two largest, most obnoxious, most ridiculous buyout contracts in the history of college football. He's the guy who hired Jimbo Fisher and ended up being a huge waste of money. He's the guy who hired Brian Kelly, and that buyout ends up being, I think, about $55 million when you get through all the paperwork. So now the governor of that state is like, nope, that person cannot be the one to hire the next coach because I don't want Louisiana taxpayers footing the bill on another bad decision. And this is from the standpoint of a Utah football fan, you probably get to just sit back and go, that's funny. Scott Woodward doesn't know how to do the job. When the governor says, no, we're going to use a committee, we're going to hire this guy based on the decision-making power of a panel that will not have to report to the athletic director. Why are you paying a $2 million salary to that athletic director then? If you're LSU. The reason I even bring this up at the top of a show on a Thursday when you got a huge game coming in is because, A, you got to be grateful that this type of dysfunction has not necessarily reached our local universities. You got to be grateful that the Kyle Whittingham path, whether you enjoy the last couple of seasons or not, the Kyle Whittingham path of longevity and consistency and team culture and respect for the program is something that we have to stop taking for granted because, goodness gracious, when you don't have it and you've got this level of turmoil and you end up having to upset an apple cart that has ripple effects all across all of college football, it's crazy. But it's another example of the adults in the room just getting it wrong for college football. It's just, and this LSU is one of, depending on who you listen to, it's either a top 3 job or it's a top 10 job or it's a top 20 job. It's one of the top jobs. And from a paycheck standpoint, it's going to be one of the top jobs in all of college football. And the same is true of several other openings this year, Penn State, Florida, et cetera, et cetera. The adults in the room in college football have, for the last 5 years, made it really, really difficult for everyone to stay invested in this sport, to stay passionate about this sport. And again, this is just a little microcosm, a little example that you can clip out of your headlines that's Louisiana related. It's not Utah. It's not BYU. It's not Utah State. It's not Weber or SUU. It's not something that's even in the West. But, I mean, this is USC's dysfunction when they gave Lincoln Riley a bunch of money and then waited with bated breath to see if he could make it work. It just stack this on top of the idea that they just voted to allow, the NCAA is now saying NCAA players and athletes are allowed to participate in sports betting on the professional level, but not bet on their own sports and not bet on NCAA athletics.
Because they're absolutely not going to do that if they're allowed to do anything else. Like, come on.
Here's the thing. If you are worried about what we just saw in the NBA, where Damon Jones and Chauncey Billups and these individuals and Terry Rozier are getting involved in some nefarious schemes, those guys, by the way, way more money than any college athlete. Even Arch Manning doesn't have that kind of money, right? If you're worried that those guys are going to start trafficking and insider information and stuff, what do you do? What message are you sending to college athletes to say, hey, you know what? Don't bet on your own sport. Don't bet on your own team. But absolutely take part in this betting economy, this wagering economy that's happening around sports, in and around sports. You think that a current Utah Ute doesn't have insider information on the guys that were on their team last year that are now in the NFL? You think that there are not a bunch of BYU Cougar players who know before anyone else whether or not Puka Nacua is going to play this weekend? Like,
come on.
Do you believe that if you're an Ohio State University Buckeye who's been part of that team for the last 2 or 3 years, you don't know exactly what's going down with your former teammates who are now in the NFL? And by the way, with those former teammates, current teammates, you think that the locker room, the insular relationship of a locker room is going to protect betting or information that is advantageous to betting from filtering down to the college level? If we're worried about what we just saw in the NBA, hey, that's privileged information that they only had because Chauncey Billups gave it to him, because Rozier gave it to him, because Jones gave it to him. If we're actually worried about that, if there's an FBI investigation going on into that, you're going to also be like, hey, guess what, college athletes? You now have a little sprinkle of money coming in from legitimate NIL deals from something that, again, the adults in the room did not do a good job of managing. And now you are, we won't say encouraged, but you are certainly publicly allowed to bet on pro sports. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. But please, while you're at it, don't look for any insider advantage. Don't use your position or your relationships in high-level athletics to get any kind of betting advantage for yourself, any kind of wagering leverage for yourself. All right?
I'm gonna go ahead and risk. I'm gonna go ahead and risk how many thousands of dollars I'm willing to put down of NIL money and otherwise to participate in this and not use insider information. Yeah, that makes sense. If I have it, it's like I know this rule was at least announced a couple of days before the NBA news broke, so it's not as if it's like crazy tone deaf, but it's pretty senseless to be like, you know what? We've heard of some crazy stuff in the NBA and otherwise recently with betting scandals that have rocked the sports world. Let's go ahead and let our athletes do it. Oh, but just don't do it on your own sport, which, by the way, you're really naive. It probably happens anyway, whether you allow them to bet on anything other than their sport or not. But like, this is going to increase the likelihood of them being willing to bet on their own sport too. It really is.
More than anything, it just like again, the adults in the room, I keep using that phrase because
it's
there
not
is a responsibility, in my opinion, when we started allowing college athletes to monetize their name, image, and likeness, which probably should have been the case always, right? But when it became a new thing, the correct way to manage that was to say, all right, guys, it is now realistic and feasible that all of you are going to earn a grown-up living wage or better by being on this football team, being on this basketball team, certainly those two sports, but even being like a gymnast, even being on the women's basketball team, even being, if you're talking about like an SEC school especially, a baseball player.
You're at least getting like
you're gonna get something. And now revenue share, and again, this is years ago, right? Now revenue share is a thing where it kind of doesn't matter as much about the popularity, about the Instagram following. Revenue share is distributed on a salary cap model effectively. So, hey, we know you're going to be compensated. We, the adults in the room, the right way to handle this is to now equip you with financial responsibility, skills, and knowledge. We need to now, okay, we're going to be facilitating $1 million going to our starting quarterback. The right thing to do in that situation is not just to say, here's the check, have fun. It's to say, here's the check. And if you so choose to use this, here is a tax expert. Here is somebody that can help you manage relationships with friends and family.
Where would they find that at a university?
May or may not be like having their hand out. Like maybe you need, here's a list of agents that we know have worked with, I don't know, like our NFL players or our NBA players in the past that we know are as slimy as most agents are. At least we know that these people are licensed, actual attorneys, people that have a good track record. And most schools and collectives did some of that work. But again, part of that mentorship that comes with throwing money at somebody is probably also saying, like, here's a not good place to spend your money. Here's a not great place to risk your money. Like when Vince Young's uncle came to him and said, I want to do a mail order barbecue business. I need $2 million from you so I can ship ribs all around the country. Somebody probably should have been like, that sounds like it's not going to be a great idea and going to be a scam. If that same person comes to Vince Young, because that really happened, by the way, and says, hey, you are now allowed to bet on pro sports. How about this? I know a guy, you know guys. Let's get some of your NIL money and let's make sure that we multiply that. You think there's not a temptation for a college athlete who finally now, in the last 5 years, has the opportunity for a little expendable income? Hey, guess what? You can bet on pro sports legally now. Used to be a thing that if you were going to do it, you had to keep it secret. You had to have a bookie. You had to get yourself messed up with some bad people. Now, you can just download this app. Let's go. It just, the adults in the room, and I know it's all because they're afraid of being sued. That's literally what all of this is. They're just afraid of the litigiousness of agents, family members, players, personnel, etc. The adults in the room can't even decide if a multi-million-dollar salary to be the athletic director at LSU qualifies you to hire a football coach at LSU. Can you imagine if you went to your boss, your big boss? I'm not talking about the assistant to the regional manager. I'm talking about the company vice president, and you went and you said, hey, I really would like to be considered for the promotion now that, you know, the regional manager moved on or the regional manager got fired. I really would love for you to consider me. Here's my resume. Here's my track record. And that vice president just looks at you and goes, oh, I'm not going to be involved in the hire. Wait, why not?
The governor's going to do it.
I haven't done a great job in those decisions as of late. So the governor's going to take over this one. You'd be like, wait, but you're still way above me on the ladder, and you're still getting the salary and the benefits and the perks associated with that.
Still got the title.
But you're also saying that you're so bad at your job that you're not allowed to do one of the most important things that this job requires? Yes, that's the case. Like, what are we doing as a collective sports society if you're allowing for this and just sitting back and going, oh, that's fun. That's interesting. The adults in the room have failed on so many of these levels. And by the way, the craziness with contracts continues. Did you see that teams are playing defense with offense? Nebraska, extension for Matt Rule today, announced. Matt Rule with an extra $15 million buyout in this cycle now because they're like, we don't want to lose him to Penn State. So here's another 2 years on your contract. Here's another $15 million on your buyout.
So what's the total buyout after that? It's just 15 more. Because that's all I saw. I'm like, okay, that's pretty laughable if you think 15 million.
If you think $15 million in a buyout is going to stop Penn State.
Yeah. Also, a couple of things with this Louisiana governor thing. First, it tells you all you need to know about the SEC, that the governor of the state is like, I'm going to take over hiring the football coach. All right?
I do enjoy that.
That's amazing. And also just like that's why they have the annoying slogan, it means more. Okay? Because Spencer Cox is not doing that here.
There's a little Jerry Jones in everybody in the South, I think.
So there's that. The other part of it is the taxpayers aren't paying the buyout, right? So maybe I missed something there. I'm like, your rich donors are paying the buyout. I guess they are taxpayers. Is that what he? Yeah.
No, are they? I mean, I really don't know.
Like, is that what he means by taxpayers?
Well, hold on.
The donor base? Because that's not many taxpayers.
James, I truly don't know because, like, these universities, we found out through the COVID situation, these universities have emergency funds and slush funds and things like that. As far as I know, those are funded by taxpayer dollars.
Okay, so if they're using – right, okay, so maybe it's not the donor base paying that? I don't know. That's what we've always been told.
We make these assumptions all the time because, like, that's not acceptable at USC. Somebody's going to come in and they're going to write the check. I'll pay the buyout then. We actually don't know.
Yeah.
Like, nobody prints out the report like, here's where the money came from to fire so-and-so.
Yeah.
And at state universities, at public universities, we don't know. I mean,
I suppose
you don't say, well, Kyle Whittingham's raise, a rich donor's paying for that. That's not what we say. We say, all right, you got to pay him to keep him.
Yeah.
Guess what? He's the highest paid state employee.
Yeah.
He's not the highest paid. His salary doesn't say $2 million is the state and the other $4.5 million is the Eccles family. That's not how it works. You go to the public information request, the Right to Know website, and they say you can look up the principal at your school if you're at a public school. You can look up the janitor at the dang school. You can look up the FBI agent that lives down the road. You can look up government salaries, and that government salary, if it's a state school, the football coach is always the highest. The basketball coach in, like, Kentucky is the only exception to that. Right? It's always the football coach at the very, very top, the highest paid, more than the governor, more than the state attorney general, more than everyone.
Yeah.
And we're always like, oh, yeah, that's just the price of poker. And as a taxpayer, as a sports fan taxpayer especially, I'm just like, oh, yeah, all right, I guess they figure it out. If I'm probably stirring up a hornet's nest of people.
I know.
Who are just
I'm
like, wait, my money's going to pay Kyle Whittingham right now?
I'm like, there's probably plenty of BYU fan taxpayers who don't like that. And I'm thinking, like, Alabama, the Auburn fans funding Nick Saban and now Kalen DeBoer's salary a little bit there.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Anyway, so valid point. Maybe I'm way off base with that, but also we just don't know. We make assumptions that it's not actually coming from this school, but maybe it is.
I mean, there's a lot of smoke and fire and noise when someone gets fired. Like, oh, this buyout, yikes! And then none of us actually care how long the buyout takes to pay out. Like, we're always just like, oh yeah, well, and now the next coach that's announced 2 weeks later, here's his salary.
Did you know that there's even some, and I don't even have enough verified information to actually say anything specific, but there's even some, because the understanding is when you, like in the Nebraska situation with Matt Rule, if Penn State had hired Matt Rule while he's still under contract with Nebraska, the assumption and the understanding is Penn State pays Matt Rule's buyout, right? But there's been more situations than probably anyone realizes where the school hiring that coach away has agreed to do the buyout and never paid it. So there's that kind of sneaky stuff going on too.
That's just everyone else playing checkers and you're playing chess. Yeah, we'll pay the buyout. We'll pay the buyout.
And then 10 years later, still waiting on that
check.
Can
we have that $15 million? Turns out, no. We don't have it either. Isn't that crazy?
Anyway, there's a specific situation that I've heard rumblings about that I can't go to air with, but that is the case.
Go check out the Drum and Feather hand-painted helmet that Utes Equipment announced yesterday to cap off the blackout uniforms that will be worn on Saturday night at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Tell me your favorite Ute football helmet ever. You can give me a whole list. We had someone text in, tweet in a whole dang list. 7516 says, top 5, white Rose Bowl helmet. Number 2, Malama Lahaina, which was the tribal red helmet
for the Maui
Polynesian
fire,
tribal, yeah,
right?
for the Maui fire fundraiser.
Benefit that, yeah.
Number 3,
that one was sweet.
USS Salt Lake City. That one was awesome. Number 4, we just talked about this one, the Blackout Ute Proud. Number 5, Blackout Interlocking Ute. Number 1 for me is the one here in our studio. I tweeted a picture of it at Real OC Sports. The satin red finish with the red chrome giant oversized drum and feather. It is beautiful. I also know on good authority from the people at Utes Equipment that it was the biggest pain in the you-know-what to try to get the face masks and the helmet to match. So we're probably not going to see that again.
But you can see it on YouTube every day on the Sean O'Connell
That's right.
show and the Drive with Spence Checketts. Did you see we've got a kind of a cool remote going on tomorrow, OC?
I cannot wait to do this at Tire World. We are going to bury, destroy, burn, exorcise the demons of the past with Utah kind of stubbing their toe on these nationally spotlighted college game day, big noon kickoff. We're going to be at Tire World, and we're going to encourage anyone. If you got a ticket stub, you got a game program, you got a hat, you got a shirt, you got a sock, you got just a memory you want to come and you want to bury, we're going to get rid of the past. We're going to throw away the bad juju, and we're going to move forward Saturday night with a win over Cincinnati.
Yeah, and then the clever line that our sales team came up with is go in, get an oil change, rotate your tires, and then rotate the momentum for the Utes. All right, let's go.
I don't know how clever that is. If we're being honest.
We're going to reverse the game day / big noon kickoff curse. Let's go.
We're reversing. How about this? Put your car in reverse to Tire World and reverse the curse. See? You don't have to force it. We will just say we're reversing the curse. If you've got something that you attach the bad juju to, even if it's just you want to come and shout your anger into the coffin we're going to have there, totally fine.
We are going to have an actual coffin there.
That's right.
That you put your bad juju mementos into.
I don't know if it's used or if it's brand new, but we're going to have one there. Okay?
It's a used coffin. Yeah, it might still have some dirt on it.
So the sports curse that has plagued Utah football on Big Noon Kickoff and on College Game Day, where you've only won 2 of those game day games.
2-6 so far. This is the 9th time. Hopefully they make it 3-6 after Saturday night, and they've lost 4 in a row. The last win was 2015 against Jared Goff and Cal.
2627 South, 300 West in South Salt Lake, the Tire World down there. Come hang out, have fun, rotate your tires, get an oil change, have them check the reverse gear as we reverse the curse at Tire World tomorrow.
On Halloween, people.
Yeah,
What
Halloween.
a better time to reverse the curse, to get rid of the bad juju.
If you're doing weird black
Come in your
magic stuff on the
costume.
radio, you might as well do it on Halloween.
Come in your costume, too. Let's go.
Gordy Chiesa joins us next. Utah Jazz with a high-scoring game, but a loss to the Blazers. And, by the way, we're talking helmets for the Utes. Jazz City Edition jerseys revealed. Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Oh, we're in the early throes of the long NBA season right now. The Jazz are sitting at 2-2 after a 136-134 loss to the Portland Trail Blazers last night. Jazz with a 43-point first quarter. Portland respond with a 46-point second quarter. I mean, we've seen whole halves of basketball with less scoring than that. To get to the bottom of all of it, we bring in our resident NBA guru. That, of course, is our friend Gordy Chiesa, brought to you by Aladdin Industries. Gordy, how are you?
Sean, I'm doing fine. You're right about that. Those 46 and 43 points are so interesting during that first half of the game. What happened was that the Blazers' pressure defense really did a good job of the Jazz forcing them to speed up the game. And as the second quarter went on throughout the game, the Jazz played much more frantic, and that created so many more opportunities, turnovers, that the Blazers were able to capitalize on. So, for example, the Blazers had 16 steals last night, and that gave an open court burst baskets by the Blazers, where they outscored the Jazz 25-15 in fast break tallies. And that's the illustration of what happens. And so we talked about it last year, that the Jazz were last in the NBA 30 in most turnovers committed. And as we speak today, Sean, despite being 2-2, the Jazz right now are also 30th in the NBA of most turnovers committed, where they're averaging 17.2 errors per game. And last year, the Jazz were the least team stealing the ball. They're still number 30 as far as the least steals per game. And so they've got to try to keep improving that and correct it. Despite, they showed some modest success as far as being 2-2. They showed a lot of grit. That's been a problem right now. They've got to really address that.
This even in a loss, this Jazz team it looks like this year, and I guess we should give you credit for your preseason prediction of being like, hey, this team's going to be a lot better than people think. They seem like they're playing with more effort. They seem like they're playing with more enthusiasm and excitement. I know everyone in that locker room is fully aware of the situation and the tanking conversations that happen outside of their locker room. But this is a group of guys that seems to know, hey, I'm going to be given an opportunity to compete every single night. And I think it's affected the actual on-court product significantly in the early goings.
Yes, very much. Well said. And the reason why is because they're competitors. And if they don't worry about next year or 5 months from now, their concern right now as a player is the next game. That's Phoenix on Friday night. So there's much more enthusiasm. It's led by Larry Markkinen and Keontae George. People forgetting how good Larry Markkinen was. And you and I talked about this last summer, is that he's a knockdown shooter that creates so many mismatch problems. He missed 35 games last year. And so part of it was an injury, but part of it, the Jazz decided to hold him out of games. And so now he's back mentally ready, physically, spiritually. He's rolling in a game. And so last night he has 32 points and 3 steals and 3 blocks. And he was a huge factor why the Jazz came back in that fourth quarter. And Keontae George, he's the most improved player on the Jazz roster. This is his third season. He's played well the whole first 5 games. He's shooting the ball much better. He's pass happy, and most of all is that he's getting the opportunity to really showcase what he does, and that's emerging leadership. So that's why the Jazz are better, and as they go forward, they need both these guys put some trusted sidekicks. So there's no tanking right now as far as where they play.
Walker Kessler with another really strong game, 3 of 4 from 3, by the way, for the big man, which is pretty wild. I've been talking about, my question for him is, right now you're what? You're kind of option number 3 for this Utah Jazz team. You're obviously a true big. Can he grow beyond that? Like, is his scoring ability developing enough this year that we see his role on the team change significantly?
It's going to change, but not as far as impactful. So the 3 for 4 is commendable. So he's a 7-footer that's improving his range. So that's good. Okay, so that's positive. Now Donovan Klinger, the guy guarding him, is really truly slow-footed, and that's not a Walker Kessler's fault. So he was late to get out to the corner to challenge the three. So what I like to see him do is that when they do run out to him as far as out in perimeter, he can make an organized catch-and-go drive under control without either turning it over or charging to make a play for someone else. When you're a big guy, you win the respect of your teammates, though, on the floor, is that you can shoot from outside, but you've got to be able to get muscle points inside to mismatches when the team switches on you. Can you get that drop step, jump hook, or the up and under move that you punish the switching defense? And so far in his career arc, it's been inconsistent. So the three-point shooting is good. It's important, certainly, but you've got to get some interior points, and that's what we should try to see him do that in the game and be more consistent.
Keontae George, as you already mentioned, another really strong night for the Utah Jazz. When we talk about Lowry, is Keontae the right kind of complementary player for Lowry Markkanen if you're going to get a lot of production out of your starting lineup?
Yes, he is, very much. And he's a guard. So, a lot of times we always talk about, is he a point guard or is he a true guard? I'm going to clarify him as a guard. And so he has point guard skills. It's emerging, but he's still a natural scorer, and that's okay. That's absolutely no problem with that. So that now in Jazz basketball, they go forward, the question is going to be, is Walter Clayton a point guard that can able to distribute the ball and then shoot later on in the shot clock? Well, let's not forget also Isaiah Collier is out with the hamstring injury. So last year he set the record as a rookie for the most assist first-year player in Jazz history. Hasn't played yet. And so Keontae George is his career arc. He's going to be a guard, and that is good. Now, can he keep improving his playmaking skills? See, the big difference between a passer and being a playmaker. It's two different things. A passer is that when the guy's over, you swing the ball to him, and that's commendable. But a playmaker is when you don't know what the play is, but based on your instincts and your ball skills and your savviness, you make something out of nothing. I just described, Sean, in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. He's a playmaker, the way he plays. They have a certain playing formation, then suddenly defense takes it away, and then he either stays in the pocket or runs the ball or throws on the run with accuracy. And that's what the difference between a passer and a playmaker.
Gordy Chie is our guest here for another couple of minutes here on the Sean O'Connell Show. We had finally Michael Jordan on his NBC appearances. You get 3.5 to 10 minutes of Michael Jordan every week. He was asked directly about load management, about strategic resting of players, and he's kind of the king of basketball in the United States of America. And to my knowledge, this is the first time we've had him fully elucidate his thoughts on some of the trends. And obviously, to no one's surprise, he kind of rejected the practice and said that, it shouldn't be the case, and he hates it. I don't think he's got enough influence just by stating that opinion to really change things. But what were your thoughts on finally hearing, one of the Mount Rushmore type players in NBA history really lay out his thoughts on load management?
I agree with Michael. And also, you're saying one of the most Mount Rushmore. I'm saying top of the Mount Rushmore. But that's a different discussion for a different show as far as Michael Jordan. Remember, these guys have seen Jordan's brilliance in front of you.
Well,
trust me when I say that.
You and I think, are in agreement there, although, funny enough, the irony here, Gordy, is that it's all of your tales about Wilt Chamberlain that have probably made me reconsider whether Michael is the best NBA player in history or if Wilt Chamberlain deserves that, because you're the guy who always educates me on Wilt, and I'm just like, man, Wilt did it even better than Michael did. But that's a conversation for another day.
I'm looking forward to it also. Remember, Wilt was an unbelievable specimen. Michael Jordan is an incredible basketball player. And so he's talking about load management. For the listeners right now on ESPN Radio 700 are driving in a car being very weary as far as from the workload themselves, is that getting rest is important. And so I always talk about is that You want to play as many games as you can because it helps your franchise and your teammates win. And if you're injured, certainly don't play. And if you're hurt, it's based on the doctors and the trainer allowing you to play. But you should rest on your own time. And so when you really perform at a high level, you get off your legs during the day, and you have discipline of not doing other activities when you're playing a lot of games in a row. And that's the difference that most players that play minimum 75 to 80 games with no rest management, that's what they do. And that's Michael Jordan. That was John Stockton. That's Karl Malone. That was Kobe Bryant. Anybody, all the great ones, they answered the bell to play. So now this generation, it's the opposite. It's influenced by other exterior forces, and they sit guys out, and probably they don't have to.
Gordy, since we just talked about Michael Jordan, why are the Bulls undefeated so far?
Well, one is that they're second in the league in assists behind the Denver Nuggets, so they're pass happy. This guy named Josh Giddey, who had a contract dispute the whole offseason, and in early September they signed him. And he is a tremendous all-around talent. He's averaging 19.5 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 7.8 assists. And by the way, he's an Aussie. He's got a swagger about himself. And he makes he's a playmaker. So again, I mentioned about passing versus being a playmaker. He's a playmaker. And then Nick Vucevic, this guy from Serbia, who we all like also, he's a 13-year veteran. He's rugged. Again, these guys from Slavic countries, they don't know any better. They just play. And so that's Nick Vucevic. He's averaging 18.3 points per game and 13.3 rebounds, and he's got a soft touch, yet he's got a rugged power game inside. So as a group, they moved on Zach LaVine last year, and the expression addition by subtraction, they're a much more happy player as far as a unit, and that's produced right now as far as them being them in the 76, another unbelievable all-star team. They're undefeated right now, 4-0. So they're playing as a unit. They have the two main guys that are performing at a high level, and everybody's happy right now in Chicago town.
What's your list today, Gordy?
All right, it's right on about Serbia and about other countries. This list today is a short list. The all-time best European players that are of NBA. So you have to be born in Europe. So not Australia quickly, not China, not Africa, but in Europe. And so these guys are interesting, a cast of characters. Here's the criteria quickly. 1, scoring. 2, playmaking. 3, rebounding. 4, defending. 5, end-of-game clutch plays. And 6, most of all, make your floor mates dramatically better. These 10 European guys. And there's a lot of them that are current in the NBA. Number 10, from Lithuania, from the Sacramento Kings as we speak, Donis Sabonis, 3-time All-Star, 3-time NBA leader. Number 9, all-time, Marc Gasol, Spain, 3-time All-Star, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, 1 NBA title. Number 8, this guy might be the best of all time, possibly. He's only age 21. He'll be 22 on January 4th in 2026. From the San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, 3rd season, 1-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year winner, and right now the paint is still right now not being on canvas. There's a lot to go yet. Number 7, one of the best shooters of all time, Petar Checketts from Serbia, played the NBA for 13 seasons, 3-time All-Star, 1 NBA title. Number 6, best ever European NBA player, Pau Gasol. I had the privilege to coach him with the Memphis Grizzlies from Spain, 6-time All-Star, 2 NBA titles. Number 5, he plays for the LA Lakers right now. Incredible all-around game from Slovenia, Luka Doncic, 5-time All-Star, tremendous all-around performer. Number 4, via France, Tony Parker, played in the NBA for 18 seasons, 4 NBA titles, 6 All-Star appearances, 1 NBA Finals MVP. The 3rd best European player of all time, He created the step-back jump shot as far as a big guy, Dirk Nowitzki from Germany. 22 seasons, 1 league MVP, 14-time All-Star, 1 NBA title, 1 Finals MVP.
I thought he
Number
was going to
2.
be number 1.
Okay, here we go. Number 2, from Greece, Giannis. 13 NBA seasons, 2 league MVPs, 9 All-Stars, 1 NBA title, 1 Finals MVP. The greatest ever European player to play in the NBA. We all love him. He plays for the Denver Nuggets via Serbia, Nikola Jokic. 11th season, 3-time league MVP, 7 All-Stars, 1 NBA title, 1 Finals MVP. And as he keeps going forward, he'll break the record for most ever triple-double games in the history of NBA basketball quickly. What about Jazz basketball European players? I only list 3 of them. The third best European player that plays in a Jazz uniform was Mehmet Okur from Turkey. Number 2 was the Russian Common. I coached both these guys, Okur and Andrei Karolinko from Russia. And the number 1 Jazz player as far as foreign country is Rudy Gobert via France. Thus, that's my list of the day. And Sean, you know, they call Europe the old continent, in case you're wondering.
Will we get to a point where Gordy Chiesa's basketball Mount Rushmore has a European on it? Could Jokic play his way into your top 4, top 5 ever?
Yes, but could be Victor Wembanyama.
True.
Could be. I mean, he's such he's a generational talent, Wembanyama. So I'm trying to curtail my enthusiasm towards him, but we've never seen a guy ever like that at that size to do what he does so far in his young career. But Nikola Jokic, we also never see someone like him, and he does it with what? Such a heart and stuff. And he's not really a great athlete. He's only a marginal athlete, but he's got an unbelievable superior instincts and skills. That's why he's number 1. And, you know, Sean, I know you've been in Europe a lot of times. Don't you love Europe?
I actually do love Europe. I like the fact that when you go over to Europe, every building is older than the oldest building we have here in Salt Lake City. It's a trip. The history seeped into that place.
And think about the NFL. They have many games in Europe right now to try to grow the business.
Yeah, and it seems like it's working. There's attendance is good, merchandise sales are good, ratings are still good on those games in the United States because you get a little morning kickoff. They know what they're doing, Gordy.
Yes, they do, just like you.
Well, some people might agree with that. Most people won't. That's Gordy Chiesa, our resident NBA guru, brought to you by Aladdin Industries, your Velux dealer here in Salt Lake City. Thanks, Gordy.
Peace out, Sean.
The hot lunch is next from Burgers Grilled Right over in Sugar House on Wilmington, 1202 Wilmington. They switched it up on us today, and let me tell you, James, I'm glad they did. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. 1202 Wilmington in Sugar House. That's where you can find Burgers Grilled Right, BGR, right there in the heart of that shopping center in the Sugar House area, right off the freeway, I-80 and 13th East over there across the street from Sugar House Park. They switched it up on us today at the hot lunch. Brought in the garlic Parmesan fries, skin-on fries, right? Skin-on potatoes, fried to perfection. Little garlic, little Parmesan, excellent. And to wash it down, and this is where we're getting seasonal, all right? We're being basic Betty's here. Pumpkin spice shake. Pumpkin ice cream, pumpkin spice seasonings, whipped cream on top. It is delightful. It's actually, sometimes you get places that overdo it on the seasonal flavors, like the mega crazy strong pumpkin spice, to where you like it, but after like 2-3 sips, you're like, okay, I'm all pumpkin spiced out. If you're on YouTube with us at ESPN 700 Sports Utah on YouTube, you will see that I did not have that problem with this pumpkin shake. It was really, really good all the way through, good to the last drop from BGR. Burgers Grilled Right, and that's like, they've now back-to-back days. We know that all the burgers are good. Every burger they've sent to us, phenomenal, right? Yesterday was the chicken salad, the grilled chicken salad, and today it's the garlic fries and the shake. I'm convinced that you can't find something bad on the menu from BGR at 1202 Wilmington in Sugar House.
And they gave us, was it the Mojo sauce to dip it in? It was like a mustard kind of sauce to dip the fries in, which
it's kind of their take on a fry sauce.
Yeah,
it's good.
A little bit of a mustard flavor to it too. It was very good too. Not the kind of fry sauce I've tried before. So, but I definitely do it again. So yeah, really good. I'm always a basic Betty. If I could have pumpkin pie and pumpkin spice shakes or whatever, pumpkin cookies all year round, I would.
See, I'm an apple cinnamon kind of guy.
Okay,
like apple pie, anything. Give me that.
So yeah, really enjoyed the shake. They also have a blueberry shake that they brought in last month when they last were brought in food for us, which they say they're famous for their blueberry shake. So if you're not feeling pumpkin spice like they brought in for us today, which was really good, they got things like blueberry too, and of course like Oreo / cookies and cream, that kind of thing too. Really good. Like you said, they haven't brought anything that hasn't been some of the best I've ever had.
They're like, whatever it is, 14 for 14 now.
Yeah,
excellent
seriously.
Stuff. Really, really good.
There's Shohei Ohtani in Game 3, just never not getting on base, never getting out.
Speaking of, that could be the actual sport thing we talk about in the hot lunch before we get to dishing with Dev. What's going on, Dodgers?
I told you that this 18-inning loss was not the end for the Blue Jays.
This is what we were told, and I told you. You win a game like that, you deserve to win the series, and now the Dodgers, they're struggling. They're on life support.
The problem with that game is they played 2 games worth, but it only counts as 1.
They played 2 games worth, and they went through every arm they possibly could find to pitch in that game.
So it probably felt like they went up 3-1 in that game, but they actually only went up 2-1, and then they followed it up with only 3 combined runs the last 2 games. Trey Savage is a savage on the mound.
First of all, what a great name. Trey Savage.
Hey, Trey Savage.
Yeah. It's just,
the
nickname creates itself.
That was only his 9th career major league start.
He's a rookie. He's like 20 years old.
Or it may have been his 8th. It was either his 5th or 6th postseason start. Yeah.
7 innings pitched.
He was awesome, and I loved watching the broadcast. John Smoltz, they showed the graphic of the average pitch delivery height, and Savage throws it from 7'1", his arm like this with the ball. But he releases it from 7'1". The average is 5'8".
Wow.
So just John Smoltz did a really good job, the Hall of Famer, of describing just how much of an adjustment that is for hitters. That they have to look up and then follow it all the way down to where it gets to play, especially his splitter when it was working really well, which it was last night.
You know what?
Yeah.
If you want to try to simulate this, go to the batting cages, all right, and take a few hacks how you normally do, and then get on your knees and see how the visual picture changes for you, because we're talking about 7'1" to 5'8". That's an insane difference in approach angle and everything else.
So that's part of why he's been so hard to hit and score on in this postseason, even though he's just a rookie. I think the other thing, he's got an advantage of these guys have never seen him before, right? Barely anyone he faced in the playoffs, if any of the teams he faced in the playoffs, they'd never had an at-bat against him, except for when he started multiple times in a series. But, like, we always know that the rookie pitchers who have really good stuff tend to get off to really good starts, whether it's postseason or regular season, because the hitters are just so unfamiliar with them.
And great, it was. We actually had, Dan Patrick does the show in the mornings here on ESPN 700, and at the start of the World Series, he had a really, really interesting conversation with Don Mattingly about this specifically, about how no matter how great a pitcher is, if you're a great hitter, you can figure it out. You find a way to figure it out. That's kind of that's the chess match, right? Great pitchers have to figure out how to get great hitters out, and great hitters have to figure out how to get a bat on a pitch against a great pitcher. And Mattingly talked about the specifics of, certain guys, the Randy Johnsons of the world, like the big heavy throwers versus guys that had a lot of movement, and the guys that somehow have both. And to your point, James, the film study and the familiarity and the having faced the guy in your career and in the regular season multiple times, like they're major leaguers for a reason, right? They will find the tendencies, they will find the weaknesses, and it's not like Trey Savage isn't going to have some that get exposed over the course of his career. It's just if you don't know what those are, if your hitting coach doesn't know what those are, if the most veteran guy on your team doesn't know what those are and can't walk up to you before you're at bat and say, hey, that thing's coming from way on high, swing under where you think the ball is going to be because the angle is going to confuse you. Whatever the trick is, nobody knows it yet. That's an advantage when you're young.
I am a little bit dubious of, like, if you thought this guy was good enough to be your number one starter in the World Series and the ALCS, why'd you wait till September to throw him? But maybe they had this in mind. There's like, yeah, he's our ace in the hole, and we were going to take advantage of how no one's seen him.
Whether that was the plan or not, if the Blue Jays go on to win this World Series, as the manager, I am saying that's what our plan was the whole time.
Exactly.
We had him stashed, and we knew we were this good, and I just wanted to bring out this ace in the hole only specifically for the World Series, because in that case, you've already won, and in hindsight, we're just like, this is the most genius move that ever happened.
You might as well just keep building on the lore.
Just lie, even if that's not the case.
Yeah. Did you see in the graphic too? He started the season at A ball, as in the lower A ball, and he pitched in every single league, every single level this year. A ball, high A, double A, triple A, and then majors in September, and now in the playoffs.
We
I don't know
whether or
happened.
not he may have just been grown in a lab, so they had to start him out at A ball. Like, the Colossal, that company that's de-extincting dire wolves and woolly mammoths and stuff like that. Maybe they just created him, and they're like, you know what, you got to start. Don't put him right in the majors. Like, let him grow into it. We don't know.
Yeah,
I'm Savage.
Super, super impressed with the Savage. Trey the Savage. There you go. He's been 12 strikeouts. So good. And, as someone who's rooting against the Dodgers, I enjoy that the Blue Jays have found their way back up on top. Next game, Friday night, you'll hear it here on your home of MLB in the World Series. Halloween night, if you want to listen to some baseball while you're trick-or-treating, whatever.
Baseball.
Tune in here from Toronto.
That's the Hot Lunch, brought to you by our friends at BGR Burgers, grilled right, 1202 Wilmington in Sugar House. Tell them OC sent you. You'll get a discount on your order. All right, Dishing with Dev. We actually had him live yesterday, but Dishing with Dev is Thursdays at noon. So we're going to keep it Thursdays at noon as well. If you didn't get a chance to hear it yesterday, Devin Dampier next, and then the Daily Dump. Eric Weddle and Trevor Riley joining us in hour number 3. The Sean O'Connell Show rolls on. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Let's get right to it here at the campus store. Devin Dampier, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Man, it's good to see you.
Man, happy to be here.
I'm not going to lie, I was sad to not see you on the field on Saturday night, but ultimately it worked out. How are you feeling right now? How's the leg? How's the body? How's the health?
Really good. I'm happy, my team performed the way they did, both sides especially, but offense obviously, Bird handled the situation great. They allowed me to, have an extra couple of days of, recovery, and, now I feel better.
We were told it was truly a game-time decision on Saturday night. How close did you feel you were, able to go? When did you make the decision that if you were going to be asked, and I know you were, like, hey, it might be in the best interest of everybody if Bird takes this one?
Yeah, I was still available to play. Truly, I still could have got in that game if it was needed. But, again, we had a lot of confidence in Bird. He practiced well during that whole entire week. And, the freshman was going to go out there and, do what he did.
This is my favorite dentist hack to clean my retainer. If you wear a retainer every night like I do, you know how hard it is to keep it truly fresh and clean, safe and bacteria-free. I've seen so many of my patients.
He had a great game. The offensive line had there's nobody who didn't have a great game, right? So take me inside the locker room, take me inside the program right now with a big bounce-back victory like that, washes the bad taste of the BYU loss out of everyone's mouth, and puts you guys right back in the hunt for the things that you hope you can achieve this season.
Yeah, I said it before. We lost to Texas Tech, we bounced back every single time. So it was nothing new to us. We know how to move on from games, and, we know how to go back out there and play Ute football. So we know that, the championship is still in play for us, and, we know we got to win out.
I was talking to coaches. I was talking to other players, and, it's hard to really, I guess, put into words how difficult a bounce back like that can be, because these losses, they are emotional. You guys put in so much work, and everyone starts talking their noise, myself included. And you got to tune it all out. Coaches tell me, well, it's the leadership on this team. It's the locker room itself that allows for these bounce backs to happen. I mean, I've been watching Utah football for a long, long time. I don't remember it happening exactly like this in any season, where when a team does stub its toe, the immediate response, a West Virginia game, and in this case a Colorado game, is like the most impressive performance of the year. So you tell me in your words, like, what is the key to that bounce back? How have you been able to achieve that as a team?
Yeah, again, our leaders, our captains, we are the ones who get looked at first. So it's big for us to, again, the team's looking at us. We got to be able to move on from those games. They definitely sting. They hurt. We talk about it. We learn from it. And then, it's on to the next week. We get another game every Saturday, so got to look forward to that one and get the job done. What
was it like for you? Watching instead of being out there, orchestrating this bounce back and being the one that on the second play of the game is taking it all the way to the house? I know you're a good teammate, but I also know you're a competitor, so it probably wasn't your favorite thing, just sitting there watching.
Yeah, no, it was a little hard for me. That was probably the first game I've ever missed just in my college career, so it was a little different. But just again, I know I was the leader of this team, and just every time the offense came to the sideline, I'm making sure I'm talking to everyone, making sure the vibes are still good and all that. But
we've talked about it, right? The relationship you have with Bird, it's been good all year long. And in this game, in the post game, Scott Mitchell and Bill Riley and Sly were talking to him, and they kind of asked him, all right, how did you know? When did you know? And one of the things he highlighted was that you came up to him and you kind of passed the baton, so to speak, for the week and said, hey, you go do this. This team trusts you. So is it big brother, little brother right now? Is it best friends? What is the relationship with you and Bird after now he's got a successful start under his belt?
Yeah, we're not too many years apart, so big brother, little brother might be. But, I'm probably definitely the leader out of the room for sure. But, just as much as he looks up to me, I look up to him too, just the way he carries himself and, how happy he is just every day. The whole team feeds off both our energies during practices and things like that. So, I'm happy he was well prepared when I told him take this week serious because, it might be your time. And he was all ready for it.
422 yards of rushing at halftime. Colorado was in the negative. I mean, that's like Madden performance. That's like you playing on easy. That's like NCAA football dynasty mode, and you've created all the players, right? I mean, that was as dominant a performance as I can remember from a Utah offense. As you're game planning, because I know you were practicing during the week, as you were game planning and you were watching the film and you were preparing, did you have a sense that it could go that way against Colorado?
Yeah, we got full confidence in our team and the way we've been running the ball all year. So, we didn't expect nothing different to go in this game and showcase that well. In our O-line, they had a little, disrespect towards them before the game. However, they wanted to take that and, they took it the right way. We definitely showed that in the trenches. We went up front and, again, that makes our playmakers have the best possibility of scoring the ball.
Okay, so what's the right balance? Because I know that there's an effort to kind of tune out the noise. And if there is disrespect, to just ignore whatever. But then it can be a motivator too, right? So, how do you find the balance of just ignoring what fan bases, opposing fan bases, your own fan base, idiots on the radio, ignoring that kind of stuff, but also being like, oh, okay, I'm going to pay attention to that particular point. I'm going to write it on the bulletin board, and I'm going to let it be something that motivates me.
Yeah, no, it's something you let it motivates you energy-wise. The way we play football here at Utah, we play really good football here. So just keep that going, but also turn up the juice a little bit, and let them feel you a little bit. So that's kind of how we took it.
All right. I want to talk about the Cincinnati matchup, but I don't want to ignore what's going on here at the Red Zone store. This is such a foreign thing because, I played in the dark ages when nobody had NIL deals, when they couldn't put names on the back of jerseys. If you knew whose number was on the mannequin, but you were just like, don't put the name on there because then you got to pay a player or whatever. You don't, not just Devin Dampier jerseys and shirts and hoodies, but you got your own graphics here. We're working with this Spider-Man theme. Tell me how this came about.
My agents, they did a good job. They got reached out to, and especially NIL, the store. They had some pretty cool ideas. They presented it to me, and man, I was like, let's go with it. That's pretty sick to, have that, and just the amount of people I see at the games, with just being able to wear that merch, it means a lot to me, honestly. Especially, my parents were just telling me every time they come to the game, they're catching someone at the airport wearing something. So, that's pretty cool as a community to know they're behind me.
Whose jersey were you wearing when you were coming up? You're 10-year-old Devin, right? You're going out to play football with your boys or whatever. Whose jerseys were you wearing? Because we've learned this about you. You're a fan of players probably even more than you're a fan of teams. So when you were taking, you're going to the store with mom and dad, you're like, hey, let me get that number 4 with the Spider-Man webbing on it. Who was that for you?
I had a Brett Favre jersey, to be honest.
Brett Favre?
Yeah, Brett Favre. That's where
Man, you surprise me every time I ask you about what's your favorite sport besides football? Soccer. Who's the guy's jersey?
I'm all around.
Brett Favre. Okay. It's not what I would have expected, but I love it.
Yeah, the Brett Favre jersey, that stuck with me, though, for a pretty long time. Had the
Brett Favre Packers, right?
Yeah, I had the
Brett
Packers.
Favre Vikings or Jets.
My parents are big Vikings fans, so it was a little crazy that I had the Packers one on.
You do have those Minnesota roots. Did that was that like an act of defiance wearing Packers gear around? Were people giving you hate at school for stuff like that?
Well, I was there for a little bit, but one of my cousins is a huge Packer fan, so when the game happens, it's always the family's a little bit on one side or the other.
Is that why you wear 4?
That isn't exactly why I wear 4, but he's a great person I was able to look up to and be like, I can represent 4 probably.
Okay, all right. Devin Dampier is our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Happy to have him at the Utah Red Zone. The new Devin Dampier merch is released, is out, is available. Man, you've got the Spider-Man theme going. Probably incorrectly, we've taken some credit for the Spidey Sense stuff, because we were talking about that in our first conversation. The NIL company, you've really leaned into this. It works.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's very me.
Are
Devin.
you a fan of the comic books? Are you a fan of the Spider-Man movies?
Yeah, I'm a big movie guy. I gotta get in the comic books though. So many people say the books are better, and it's like, all right, I gotta get that time.
When I was a kid, we were very into comic books. X-Men was my thing. My brother and I had the subscription. They send it to your house every month. That was 30 years ago, and now there's so many different titles. There's so many spin-off stories. I couldn't even follow all of it. So
yeah, there's a lot.
Good luck getting into it now.
I have my time when I retire. Just kick up. really get all the information I need.
We don't want to talk about retirement yet. Not with Devin Dampier, QB number 1. So, what's the practice been like so far this week? You said you were available to go last week if you had been needed. I imagine you get extra treatment, extra rest over the weekend, and we've had this conversation twice now. Do you feel like you're back towards 100%?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten healthier. I've taken majority of the reps also, and Bird's also getting those reps too. Just in case worst comes to worst for me. But we're handling the situation very well. I feel very confident going into this weekend. So yeah.
How much of the playbook do you feel like you need to be able to run to where you can look your offensive line, you can look your coaches, you can look your teammates in the face and say, no, I'm 100%, I'm good. You need to start me in this game because obviously your ability to move is a big part of what makes you a great quarterback, right? So probably even more so than some other guys in the conference and in the country, you got to be healthier than some guys, right? So how much of the playbook has to be available to you for you to feel like in good conscience you're doing the best thing, not just for yourself but for your team?
Basically almost all of it, to be honest. again, we've shown we're a very rushing team, and we can also pass the ball as well. But running the ball is something, we do very well. So for me to be able to do that, I think that gives, our offense the best chance of winning games.
Dishing with Devin Dampier is our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Taste the Culligan difference. ARUP Blood Services, give local, save local, America First Credit Union, hooking you up with a conversation with QB1 every week. All right, so Colorado's in the rear view. A game like that, just like a loss, you can only think about it for 24 hours, and you got to flush even a great performance, and you got to move on. Now you've got Cincinnati, a really good team, a top 25 team, one of the most prolific offenses in the conference and in the country right now, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in college football on the opposite side of things. What are you seeing? I know you watch the defensive film a lot more, but what are you seeing from Cincinnati, and how can you attack them?
Yeah, a great team all around. There's a reason why they're ranked again, and it's a very competitive Big 12 conference. So, I think they're one of those teams, obviously we played ranked teams before, and, they match up just as well with them. So, just another test for us to, prove ourselves again.
When you look at their defensive line in particular, they got the Corleone kid who's thought of as an NFL prospect at least. They've done a really good job of kind of leaning into the freak athletes on their team. They've got a bunch of guys that are, I wouldn't say depth is their strength, but they got a bunch of guys with crazy speed, crazy measurables. Is anyone popping out to you when you watch that film?
Yeah, I guess I couldn't say one in particular, but I will say, up front, I do think they do a great job, with what they do. Especially, I'm a big on formation and, how they play us and things like that. So, X's and O's wise, they do some things that are a little challenging for, the offense to work around. And, again, when you have the athletes to be at that spot and do what they do, they have a talented group as well. So, you put that together, we're going to have to put our best foot forward to have a great outcome.
When you we talked about this last week as well, when you have a guy or a couple of guys that at this point in the season, you're now more than halfway through, and, some of these young individuals, Buchanan, Bray, as we talked about a lot, really starting to come into their own, adding another wrinkle to an offense that you're very comfortable in. You know this whole playbook. You ran this thing last year. Now you've got a couple extra weapons at your disposal as these guys kind of really grow into their college football bodies, their college football confidence, things like that. How much does that add to this offense? Because if you're Cincinnati and you're watching the film, you have a couple of weeks where you can say, oh, man, this Bray kid, they're actually going to use this guy. But it's not like they got a full season of it, so you could still surprise some teams with stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, especially, the way, those young guys been stepping up recently too. Yeah, I mean, we're a very wide open offense. Again, that's why, I need to be at being able to run 100% of the offense because, we do so many things in so many different ways. So, when our players are able to do those things at a very high level, just puts a lot more stress on the defense.
As we talk about the new talents that are emerging, one thing that is a staple of what you guys are doing, and we expect it to be a staple of what you're doing, is that offensive line. They've done a good job of protecting you for the most part this year. They did a phenomenal job against Colorado of opening up the holes. I know you don't speak for all of them, but how is that offensive line doing, feeling? How healthy is that group? And do you feel like they're in the right spot?
Yeah, I love those boys. I'm around them all the time. Yeah, I mean, they set a goal at the beginning. They wanted to win the Joe Moore. That's just something, that they've wanted since the beginning. So I think they're doing a great job at it. They let me know every game. They love me. They're going to protect me, put their bodies on the line for me. Again, no one's ever 100% healthy in football. That's just how the sport works at this point. But the fact, if you watch them boys, you can't even see it. They're real troopers. And, I love those guys.
By the way, that offensive line, that Joe Moore Award, awarded every year to the best offensive line in football. Jeff Schwartz, who's a weekly guest on the show, is part of that voting committee. And I ask him all the time, is Utah still in the running for that award? And one of the things that's really interesting in college football this year, and with offensive line play in particular, is he told us on the show yesterday, he said there's not one offensive line that's been great and dominant in every game. So that award is still very much up for grabs. You can tell them that, I guess.
Yeah, they gonna take that personal. Don't worry. they gonna step up. Watch.
All right, we have to talk about another dynamic in this game. We've got College Game Day on campus. ESPN rolling out the big red carpet, right? McAfee show is going to be broadcast from town. You've got a WWE event this weekend. I mean, there's several different spotlights being put on this game. For Utah fans, that should be all cause for celebration. Hey, let's go. This is so much fun. But people are starting to get superstitious because in the recent trend has been that these big games, these spotlight games, have not worked out for the University of Utah. How should we think about that? How should we handle that as a fan base, as observers? Because, big noon kickoff, BYU game, big noon kickoff, Texas Tech game, and now people are nervous that College Game Day is going to be on this one. How are you processing it?
Yeah, I'm not superstitious at all. I go about my day the same. Everything, if anything changes, I'm not too big on it. But, I think it's great for us at just being at Utah. I think the fans should handle it great. I mean, honestly, the amount of attention that we've gotten this year and just the way we're handling it as a community, as a team, I think we've been well at it. So this is just another week for, our fans to be able to show, what Utah's about and to have that attention again. So, we're going to be locked in. We're going to be dialed in again.
Did you watch Game Day coming up? Was this a part of your Saturdays as a kid, as a, middle schooler, as a high schooler? Were you watching College Game Day?
Yeah, for sure. Who don't watch it before all them games come on? It's definitely something that everyone's tuned into.
So is it still surreal for you in any way that, it already happened on the big noon kickoff? They were talking about you all the time. You're going to have Kirk Herbstreit and those guys breaking you down. There's going to be Devin Dampier highlight packages on a show that you came up watching. Is that strange for you? Does your family, screenshot you and all look at Dev? How do you react to it, and how does the people around you react to it?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on in my life right now. So, everything's just blurring across my face right now. But, definitely when I get time to just be about myself and think about it and just think about where I'm at right now and how blessed in the situation I'm in. It is pretty crazy. But, I'm very happy to be here and, just keep going.
Young athletes are dreamers, right? Especially quarterback types. I'm sure you visualized in your mind the game-winning drives, the touchdown passes, all that kind of stuff. Did young Dev ever imagine that being featured on Game Day, on Big Noon Kickoff, having your own damn merchandise that people are lining up to buy, like the Spider-Man theme? In your wildest, I'm talking young Dev imagination, did you think this was going to be part of your life?
On a serious level, everything's always in question, but, as a little kid, you're always, especially with my brother, we're always doing the last second,
sure,
running around, 3, 2, 1, I'm throwing the ball and stuff like that. But, yeah, as I got older and just realized, I'm getting closer to my goals, I'm really happy about my journey and where I'm at now, especially here. I feel like, this is all I could ask for out of a college experience, and, I'm glad to be a Ute.
What's the possibility that we see you and Bird on the field at the same time a lot of times against Cincinnati?
It's very possible. Bird's a heck of an athlete, and, so am I. So, I think our skill sets, we're very alike. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I know Coach Beck likes that when, we saw it when when Bird was starting, but in the spot duty. A lot of those plays, you're still on the field, motion out, split out, whatever, so that a defense doesn't know what's going to happen. Is that something that was part of the offense at New Mexico, or is that just because now you got two guys that you could use that are effectively interchangeable?
Yeah, we did something like that a little bit at New Mexico, but Bird's one of those guys. You probably want the ball in his hands at some point during the game because he's going to make a big play for you, rather with his legs or his arms. So, it's pretty scary.
I should have asked this before when we were talking about Colorado, but one of my favorite things about that game was that we saw in the fourth quarter especially, we saw a bunch of people on the field that are probably not getting on the field for the rest of the year, that hadn't been on the field yet previous to that, right? You go down deep in the depth chart, third-string defense, you get the backup offensive line in there and stuff like that, and you get to see some of those guys have big moments, make big plays, have success. Those are team chemistry building moments when little brother gets to be on the field and the guy you know has been grinding and working and busting his ass in the weight room, he gets his moment in the sun. Was there a player or a couple of players in particular that you got to see kind of have that moment against Colorado that everybody was hyped about? I mean, the starters, I was down there on the sideline, the starters were going nuts for everything, supporting their guys. But were there any players that you were just like, finally he gets to feel what it's like to do the Devin Dampier thing where I'm scoring touchdowns or whatever?
I think Nate Johnson definitely, stands out in that group for sure. Someone that was waiting for his opportunity to come back up. And, he got in that end zone. He's been here before at Utah before, he transferred and came back. And just a lot of those guys knew Nate before, too. So a lot of our guys were happy to see him get that touchdown. And, it honestly, with that opportunity at the end of the games, that is your shot to, get back in the scheme and what we're doing. And, I think, he pretty much earned that.
By the way, if you didn't watch that live because you were already getting to the parking lot and trying to beat traffic or whatever, go find the highlight of that Nate Johnson scoring play because it was one of those football plays that even the most uneducated eye, you could see was going to be a touchdown. Like the whole open, it was like Moses parting the Red Sea. There was no tackler within 1,000 yards, and Nate Johnson obviously has the wheels. You just saw that thing open up. It was like, oh,
yeah,
that's going to the house.
Yeah, he's
gone.
Good
night, goodbye. That's one that made it look easy.
Yeah, that was good all around. Again, even our O-line that was out there to see them, make the holes that they were making during that time. Huge kudos to them as well.
All right, now to the most important part of our conversation. Halloween this week. Where do you stand on Halloween? Are you a dress up, take it real seriously kind of guy? Are you I went trick-or-treating for 4 hours and filled up a whole pillowcase full of candy? Give me the Devin Dampier Halloween treatment.
Growing up, I was huge on candy. I used to hit the big neighborhoods. Everything was king size, no matter what door you're at.
Everybody, all of you people out there, all of you lawyers, doctors, business owners, I just want you to know that Halloween is the time when you are most appreciated by society because every kid from every state knows where the rich neighborhoods are, and they get dropped off and they go get those king-size candy bars.
They go get them.
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, I think the way I used to trick-or-treat, I used to have candy for like a month. Yeah, I used to be crazy back in.
And now, like if
now it's a little more. Now I'm on the treater side. I give the treats out.
You hand out
yeah,
candy?
I've done it a couple times.
Okay. Do you dress up? Do you still like? Because I'll be honest, I got little kids, right? So Halloween is fun for kids. I love like regular adult me without kids. I'm not dressing up. I don't care about Halloween at all. You're kind of in that phase of life where you get to decide, do I still care about Halloween or not? Like if someone says, hey, Dev, dress up as Spider-Man, are you doing it?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I might dress up as Spider-Man, not on Halloween.
That's kind of weird.
But I mean, it is college though. College Halloween weekend is definitely a thing. We got a game this week, so it has nothing to do with me. But
so how's that going to work for members of the team? You guys, Friday night you can't go to Halloween parties.
Yeah, we're excluded.
You can't go trick or treating. Saturday it's a night game, so I mean everyone's going to be in their costumes at Rice Eccles Stadium. I guess you guys don't get to enjoy Halloween this year.
Yeah, see, we got to win, so Sunday will be great for people who want to still make that. So got to get it done on the field first.
Save some trick-or-treat candy for Devin and for the rest of this Utah football team because they don't get to trick-or-treat. They don't get to go to the Halloween parties. But we're hoping for a big win against Cincinnati. Dev, it's always great catching up with you. Congrats on all this new stuff you got going on. Anything else behind the scenes that we don't know about yet? Or like you working on a movie or a documentary or anything like that you want to tease?
No, I ain't got nothing going on. It's pretty crazy right now.
All right. Come to the Utah Red Zone. So we're on campus. We're going to have players and athletes from the department coming through all show long. Devin Dampier, the new merch drop. You got to check these out. The number 4 jersey with the spider web. You got the Devin Dampier as Spider-Man hoodies out. The crew necks as well. We got more players coming. We got a lot going on. That's Dishing with Dev, brought to you by ARUP Blood Services. Give local, save local. Who else are we? The America First Credit Union, obviously. Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Taste the Culligan difference. Dev, good luck this week.
Thank you.
You're the man. Polylift Concrete Lifting and Piering. That's the one I forget. Those guys also hooking you up with Dishing with Dev. with a Duck can solve all of your plumbing problems. Give them a call. Tell them OC sent you. Daily Dump. We go through a bunch of the different things going on in the sports world. This one kind of flew under the radar. It comes from The Athletic and is something that I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, right? So I'm not 100% sure how much, state by state things can vary. I don't know about legal precedent in every case, but it seems somewhat significant to me that South Carolina, the state of South Carolina, and South Carolina's University of South Carolina, has been a ruling has gone against South Carolina. That means they have to pay millions of dollars in a single CTE lawsuit. Like one player suing South Carolina has been awarded $18 million in damage for his college football career. Robert Gaithers, I misspoke. Not just the player. Robert Gaithers and his wife are now owed $18 million after a jury ruled the NCAA negligent in failing to warn Robert Gaithers of the long-term effects of concussions. Gaithers himself, who's now 68 years old, so he played 40 years ago, receives $10 million after a civil trial that ended last week in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and his wife, Deborah, was awarded $8 million because of how negatively CTE post-concussion symptoms have affected their life. One case, $18 million. Think of the hundreds of thousands of college athletes who have participated in full contact football since Robert Gaithers played.
How long ago was that again?
He's 68 years old. So
oh my gosh.
He was playing.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. 40 something years ago. Maybe 50 years ago. Wow.
I mean,
you think about a recent story that Chris Camrani just wrote about Greg Newman. Like, that hits home here.
I mean, this is okay. So the Gaithers family filed a complaint in April 2019 claiming permanent disability because he suffered substantial symptoms of neurocognitive injuries, including symptoms of traumatic encephalopathy. That's CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Okay.
I don't think I've ever actually heard the full name, not just the initials before.
Okay. So, by the way, he was awarded this without anyone knowing whether or not he actually has CTE.
Right. If he's living, then you can't know at this point.
Only diagnose it posthumously.
Yeah.
Only after you die, they cut open your brain, they dissect your brain. It takes some time. We learned this through the Chris Camrani article that it's not an immediate answer. It's not like the family donates the body, they crack the head open, they pull out the brain, and they're like, oh, that's it, 100%, that's CTE. It takes time. You have to test these plaques that build up. I mean, it's a very complicated process. He's living.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to bring up as you're reading the highlights of the story, OC, is like, how did they get these damages based on CTE being one of the primary things that they're suing for when the guy's still alive?
And
that's
even more so, James, that without him being able to prove that he has CTE, the complaint alleged, and I mean, obviously from an intuitive standpoint, you're like, okay, that's a former college football player who got his bell rung a bunch of times. Yeah, the damage probably came from football, but there's no way to prove that he has CTE yet. And he's 68 years old, which means if he filed this complaint in 2019, he was in his 60s, and he's been awarded. They said, yeah, your problems are from football.
All right.
So I guess he's able to establish that that's the only time I got my head hit. It's a strange and perhaps devastating precedent for the NCAA, for any university, because $18 million for one family.
It's not a class action. That's one. Yeah.
$18 million of damages being paid out, saying this person, again, without having to prove it, and I'm only stating it that way because when you sue somebody, the burden is on you to say, like, you have damaged me in this way.
Right.
And to establish it on CTE, which is not diagnosable while someone is living.
And you're still alive. Yeah.
That's pretty intense. So
It's
South Carolina,
fascinating.
$18 million for the Gaithers family.
Now, we should also say post-concussion symptoms is also part of their case, the thing that they're naming here as to why they should be getting some damages, and University of South Carolina is liable for that.
Yeah.
Like that there's not CTE is not the only is not post-concussion symptoms. There's lots of other things that you can see while you're still living from post-concussion.
But the civil court decided that this was a CTE problem.
Wow.
Caused by NCAA football.
I feel like South Carolina might have a really good case to appeal this just based off of that, because I don't know how you can say it's CTE when the guy's still alive.
I'm sure this legal battle will continue.
Yeah.
But it's something to keep, a weather eye on if you're a college football fan, if you're someone who's involved in an athletic department, because, I mean, even if you're just in South Carolina, if you're Jadeveon Clowney, you're just like, wait, I can get an extra $20 million?
Right.
I got some headaches.
You're Alshon Jeffrey walking around somewhere. Yeah.
Anyway.
Shout out to the former South Carolina.
I don't mean to be – these are a couple heavy stories here in the Daily Dump, but this one is, I think, another reason why we should all get on board with and start to learn to love, if you don't already, NHL guys, hockey culture, hockey players. And certainly hockey players are not the only ones who have their priorities straight, but I don't know if you heard about this. Brad Marchand is taking a temporary leave from the Florida Panthers because he's a part owner of a club hockey team in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
All right. Aren't we all?
And one of his best friends is the person who coaches the club.
Okay.
Unfortunately, tragically, this friend of his lost a 10-year-old daughter to a battle with cancer. And in the middle of the season, well, not the middle of the season, but in the Florida Panthers season, Brad Marchand is saying, you know what, this is more important. And he's going to go, and while his friend who's dealing with the loss of his child is taking a leave of absence from the coaching job, Brad Marchand is going to go coach.
Wow.
And is going to go carry that load for his friend. They're doing a big fundraiser for the family in Nova Scotia. Brad Marchand is raffling off autographed jerseys and stuff to help pay the bill. I mean, this is just we know people close to the Utah football family that have lost children in similar situations and stuff, and this is just a really cool thing to see one of the great hockey players of our generation going back to his roots, saying, you know what, I'm helping my friend, I'm helping this person who is family to me through a really, really tough time. And for the Florida Panthers, of course, as an organization, to be like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, this matters more. Sometimes we get so caught up in how much the sports are significant and things like that, and then you're reminded that they actually mean literally nothing. Even to the players who that's their livelihood, they're not and shouldn't be the top priority in every case. And so this is a really cool story that Brad Marchand is, in my opinion, doing the right thing here and trying to help his friend out through a really tough time.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, Marchand's at the age where he might be – he's already won 2 Stanley Cups, 2 different organizations. Maybe this is something that makes him go, you know what, I could probably walk away from the game. We'll see. I
for now,
would expect him to come back.
It's not even going to be a whole week for now, but it's like,
yeah,
it's just I love that story. I thought, I mean, it's obviously tragic and sad. I don't love that portion of it, but I love that even when he's one of the most famous guys in the NHL, and still people like that, people in his position, when their friends pick them up, pick up the phone and say, "Hey, man, what can we do here?" Or, "Hey," the friend probably didn't even have to pick up the phone. It's probably Brad Marchand picking up the phone and saying, "I'm so sorry this happened to you. How can I help?" It's just a really cool thing. They're people first, right? So good story in the NHL. And a little more of a feel good here. Would there be anything cooler, James, and you alerted me to this, than one of the brightest stars in the NBA when you're a little kid doing a jersey swap?
Amazing. Yeah, that would have been when we were growing up, and I'm younger than you, but
significantly.
But there weren't jersey swaps happening when I was growing up either, certainly not with you. So when we were growing up, that wasn't something like, yeah, I'd like to swap a jersey. But nowadays, if I was a kid nowadays, yeah, that would be the thing. And even back then, if I had known that was going to be something that athletes did, yeah, absolutely, that would have been the dream.
The NBA on ESPN posted a throwback to Victor Wembanyama, and I missed this when it happened, doing a jersey swap with, like, it looks like, I don't know, like a 6-year-old. The 6-year-old has a child-sized Wembanyama jersey, and Victor Wembanyama has a game-worn jersey.
She's drowning in it.
And he's got this tiny little napkin of a jersey in front of him, and they took a picture together. And this child is hidden completely behind the Wembanyama jersey.
Amazing.
Just
yeah.
Iconic. That's fantastic.
I missed that at the time too, which is why I was like, okay, we gotta, since they're bringing it back, we gotta talk about this on the Daily Dump. It's funny. I just watched the Seinfeld dry cleaning episode where he brings this shrunken shirt and like berates the dry cleaner till he admits that he shrunk this shirt. It's the same vibe there, except a lot smaller, obviously.
It's a lot like that. All right, we got to take a quick one here. Before we do, Big Willie's is the spot for your holiday parties. Big Willie's is the spot to watch any games that you're interested in on a Friday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday. They've got TVs all over. They've got the best bar food menu in the business. So if you want to watch the Jazz, the Mammoth, RSL, Utes, Cougs, any other teams, head down there to 1717 South Main. Also, I'm not a drinker, right? But they've got these partnerships with Outlaw Distillery. They craft the cocktails. They've got their own in-house cocktails. There's also a rare bourbons section on the menu. So if you're one of those connoisseurs of a fine whiskey, Big Willie's has you covered there as well. Which, by the way, that's very like hoity-toity for the Big Willie's folks. I mean, Patrick and Michelle, they're very down to earth. So to be out there peddling rare bourbons to the set, they're really painting with a broad brush here, because you can get some onion rings, some fries, and like a, I don't know, $25 glass of bourbon. It's a lot. They just refilled to the pool tables not long ago. It is just a great vibe. It's a great spot. And get there early on Saturdays, especially because they pack the place out. When you go in, tell them OC sent you, and they will enter your name in a drawing that's happening next week for 2 Utah Mammoth club-level tickets. They're actually the owner's tickets. So you're going to go to a game with Patrick and his lovely better half, Michelle. Sean O'Connell Show continues with the PGA Tour update. Leaderboards. We still have it going on. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, a little recap on the Bank of Utah Open at Black Desert Resort. Brought to you by Uinta Golf. The new TaylorMade QI35 Woods are the fourth generation of carbon wood technology. Driver that unlocks a new level of distance, available at Uinta Golf. We've got Eric Weddle joining us in a few minutes. Trevor Riley right after Weddle. So a couple of Utah football legends taking up most of hour number 3. Before we get there, though, this is a nifty little thing that happened last week at Black Desert Resort. Michael Brennan ends up winning, and he's been at Wake Forest. Okay, 23-year-old golfer from Wake Forest. Winning at the Bank of Utah Championship at Black Desert means that he gets to skip the Korn Ferry Tour next year and go straight to the PGA Tour.
Gets the tour card. Look at him.
Gets a 2-year exemption on the PGA Tour and a spot in the PGA Championship and the $20 million RBC Heritage Tournament by winning this Bank of Utah Championship. 4-shot victory, closed it out on Sunday down there at Black Desert. And his caddy, by the way, he was hot all summer long, this Michael Brennan cat. And his caddy told him, we're not going to play on the Korn Ferry Tour. You're going to skip it. You're going to win one of these tournaments, get the exemption, get the tour card. And he's right.
Hey, now he gets to live the dream for at least 2 years, keeps winning, gets to extend that, right?
If you're that caddy, you're like, hey, bud, I told you this was going to happen. Is this like when a pitcher buys a catcher who catches his no-hitter, usually gets him like a Rolex or something nice? If your caddy was right and told you, hey, kid, you're going to skip the Korn Ferry Tour, feels like you got to, like, when he's right, you got to be like, all right, here's a
give him
tip.
something nice.
Here's an extra Happy Gilmore club. I don't know.
There was 5 guys with Utah ties in this tournament. All not just guys who went to college here, but actually from Utah. Zach Blair being one of them. He's the one of the locals that finished the highest, tied for 20th in this. So really good showing by Zach Blair. The rest of them, unfortunately, there are 4 other guys, unfortunately, did not make the cut. So Zach Blair's the only one that made it to the weekend, and he finished top 20. So that's a great showing in the local tournament by one of the top local golfers. Tony Finau, not in this field. Not a ton of big names at this time of year, OC, because as we learned with some of our listeners' help, that this is for the guys who are on the fringes trying to keep their PGA Tour status, or guys like Brennan who won, trying to move up and make the PGA Tour for the first time. That's what these tournaments are for.
Little recap of the Bank of Utah Open at Black Desert Resort, brought to you by Uinta Golf. TaylorMade QI35 Woods are the 4th generation of carbon wood technology. Check out the new driver, unlock some new distance at Uinta Golf. Reminder also that in about 42 minutes, we're going to have a 4-pack of sneak preview tickets to Predator Badlands at Megaplex Jordan Commons, November 4th, 7 p.m. We'll give away a 4-pack in topical trivia as we close out the show today. Up next, Eric Weddle, and then it'll be Trevor Riley after him. Stay tuned on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome to hour number 3 on the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome in the Utah football legend, NFL legend, head coach of the Rancho Bernardo Broncos, Eric Weddle, joins us on a Thursday. E-Dub, how are you?
Man, life is good. Life is good. Going against our rival tonight at Poway. It's going to be a great game. We got to get our get back from last week, getting destroyed by the Grizzlies. And, you know, a little humble pile for everybody, including myself, got out-coached, outclassed, out everything in that game. So it's always important to look at yourself first. I failed the kids miserably, and ultimately will be a better coach from it.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but because you did, when you have a game like that, and all of us have experienced it one way or another, what is the best way to flush it? Because obviously, you know, this Utah team that we talk about every single week has had to do that a couple of times so far. Now that you're, you know, coaching these kids on how to do that, how do you get them to just put it out of their mind, don't let it affect them week to week?
Yeah, I mean, it's the player and the coach in me. So at this level, we're on a short week, so it wasn't going to do anybody good to watch it, to harp on it. We needed to move forward, get our confidence back, and ultimately, I stressed to our coaches that there were multiple things that happened through that game, whether it's preparation, whether it was the scheme, whatever. Foremost, and my assistants, we had to look at that film and critique it, look at ourselves first, and see how we could be better coaches from it, because we didn't have the boys ready to play. There were mistakes that happened in that game that were huge coaching errors from myself and on down. And so, you know, when you ask your players to do something and they make the correct read and it ends up on a bad or negative play, that is 100% coaching. So, but as on the flip side, I am a strong proponent of watching the film, critiquing it in front of everybody. You know, that's what we did. We had a rough game in Baltimore in one of my years, and we came in Monday morning or Tuesday, I can't really remember, but Coach Harbs got up there for 3.5 hours. We watched every play, offense, defense, special teams, and we went through every play, every player that was on it, good, bad, or indifferent. And it was there were some choice words to be said in that meeting, but it's also brings ownership. It also you never want to let your teammates down or be called out or, you know, lack of effort and those type of things. So I liked being called out in front of my teammates, and because I knew I would never want to let my teammates down. So there's 2 ways to do it, 3 ways, multiple ways, but that's how we did it, and we're ready to rock for tonight.
So looking at the Utah versus Colorado game, from play number 2 of the game, it started to go Utah's way. Offensively, just an absolute wagon, 422 yards rushing. Offensive line dominated. Of course, on defense in the first half, Colorado had negative 18 total yards. So a really, really dominant performance for the University of Utah, especially in the bounce back after a frustrating loss to your rival on the road at BYU. When you watched this game, what were your biggest takeaways?
Well, I loved how we came out. I love how we executed. I love how we had energy and passion. We could have easily let that previous loss carry over, and we didn't. So that's a sign of maturity. It's a sign of, you know, the leadership and the connection you have with the team and the fight. So I really was impressed by that and was happy to see it. And on the flip side, you know, I gotta say this because I am shocked at how bad Colorado was and how bad their coaching is, and the little antics on the sideline from Sapp and all these other guys. Like, what are they doing over there? Was really surprising to me, and I'm just proud to be a Ute, baby.
I talked to other coaches about this leading up to it, right? There's Coach Prime, there's a mystique around him because anyone who's been around football the last 30 years, you remember what he was as a player. I think he's had a positive impact, certainly at Jackson State, certainly at the University of Colorado. He looks exhausted, downtrodden. It sucks that his health is failing him and things like that. But, that's a coaching staff that's got like 3 Hall of Famers on it and a bunch of other NFL guys, people with NFL ties as well. You would think that them more than anybody would know how to react to the good, the bad, and the ugly in football. But at least at Rice Eccles in Salt Lake City on Saturday night, there was something lost in translation because nobody was reacting very well.
Yeah, I mean, not all former players make good coaches. And just like you said, like, they have played at a high level and are some of the all-time greats. But, man, some of those antics and things is, like, beyond my understanding of respecting the game and respecting your opponent. It's just selfish. It's egotistical. And it's more about them as coaches. And I'm not talking about Dean. I'm talking about the other guys that it's not ever about you as a coach. Like, when you understand that as a coach, you have a chance to be a great coach. When you think it's about you and what people think about you or your decisions and actions, it's not. It's not ever about you. And to see that and witness it was really, really just – I felt bad for those players, man, honestly.
What is the most dominant defensive performance you've ever been a part of? Negative 18 yards. It's starters versus starters. Negative 18 yards through the half. And I think if we actually took the number from Utah before they pulled their starters and let the backups come in, who ended up giving 1 touchdown drive up, they played well too. But I think it was probably like Colorado probably had like 48 total yards of offense in that game. What's the most dominant defensive performance you've ever been a part of?
I mean, to put in perspective of what they did is unheard of. They have good players. They got good scheme. They try hard. And we literally just took them to the woodshed and didn't let them out. Like, we said, you're going to stay here, and we're going to make you do what we want. And that's the final say. They had no fight, no counters, nothing. For me personally, gosh, I remember one of my years in Baltimore, we played at Tennessee, and I think we sacked them 12 times for franchise record. And so they couldn't do anything. I think we shut them out like 20-0, 23-0, something insane. So that one sticks out to me. But nothing remotely close to what we witnessed last week.
Eric Weddle's our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. As fun as last week was, and it was great, the game coming up against Cincinnati is the far more important one. This is a ranked team. This is a team that has been incredibly efficient offensively. I don't think it's going to look anything like what we saw against Colorado. And college game day is in town, and the big stage is here. And unfortunately, Utah does not have a great track record recently in this spot. So we talked about it with your team. We talked about it with this Utah team. You got to flush even a good game out and make sure you're prepared for this week. What does practice need to be like right now? What does Friday need to be like? How do you get ready to put your best foot forward against a good Cincinnati team?
Well, you just got to understand what is expected, what is ahead of us, right? Like we have a great shot at continuing the momentum off a good win. This team is 10 times better than Colorado, and you probably could say they're probably better than BYU offensively with the quarterback and what they present offensively towards us. So, there's a lot of different factors in this game. So we just got to man up, and we got to go out and play great in a big-time moment against a good team in all 3 phases. And we can't shoot ourselves in the foot. We can't turn the ball over. We got to go play our style of football, and let's go get a win. against a really good team in prime time and keep this momentum going and see what happens.
One of the most interesting things that came out of last week and continues into this week is the conversation around Devin Dampier, who is, according to him, we had him on the show yesterday. We replayed the interview today. He is healthy. He's ready to go. He said he could have gone in an emergency situation last week, but thought it was in the best interest of himself and the team to let Bird Ficklin take the start. Bird looked awesome. Not a spectacular passing day, but he's obviously an incredible athlete. He's a great runner. He's got a live arm. And it gives you a lot of hope that, last year you couldn't find one quarterback, and this year you got two. You're the head coach. Kyle Whittingham has emergency stepped away and put Eric Weddle in charge. How do you manage your quarterback situation with Devin Dampier and a very talented Bird Ficklin backing him up?
Honestly, if it was me, I would be going with Bird because the drop-off passing-wise isn't as dramatic as everyone would think. And so I'm going to go with the youngster, and let's rock. They bring the same dynamic running, and I think he's a better passer and a better pure pocket type player. So I sensed that in camp when I was watching him, and to see it, Colorado's horrible, and I get why they're going to stick with Dampier. He's got more experience in this and that, but I go with the more talented guy if all things are equal.
How do you think it factors in that, the timeline for Kyle Whittingham seems to be an exit this year? Again, he hasn't told us anything definitively. I think all signs point in that direction. And we've seen in this program over now 2+ decades, if all other things are equal, they do go with the young guy because you're building for a future while you're developing and while you're still giving the rest of the guys on your team a chance to win in the present. If you're Kyle Whittingham and you don't have the same level of focus on the future, does that change the calculus here?
Yeah, ultimately, he's going to make the decision of what he feels best is to win this year. He's not thinking about the future. He shouldn't be, really. He should be thinking, and I'm sure they are, about what are we going to do to win this game and then move on to the next week. They're not thinking down the road. They got a really good team. We're trying to maximize this opportunity and see what happens for this year for these seniors and for the guys that are going to leave for the league, all that other stuff. So it's a fine line, but when you recruit really good players and they get ops and they show out, you're going to be in this dilemma at a lot of different positions. It just so happens to be a quarterback. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. Gage and I are coming up. We play tonight, so Gage and I are coming up this weekend to come support the youth and hopefully bring some good energy and vibes to get a victory.
I love that. That's some good juju right there. We just found out, by the way, they just put it out. Alex Smith, the celebrity picker for College Game Day. So
that is awesome.
Former teammate, you and Alex in the building. That's good news for all the big-time Utah fans.
Yeah, baby.
So this Cincinnati offense in particular, their quarterback, he gets the ball out so quickly. He's the least often sacked and least often pressured quarterback in the Big 12 Conference. I think second least often in the entire country. As a defensive specialist, as a guy who knows how to do it at the highest level on that side of the ball, how do you make sure you still affect him, his passing lanes, you pressure him if you've got 2.4 seconds to do it?
Well, you got to have a good plan. You got to be able to be confident in what you do and what you preach and teach and culture and all that stuff defensively, and understand they got to adjust to us as well, right? Yeah, they're really good. It gets the ball out. He plays the position at a high clip, meaning pre-snap, post-snap. He's got the intangibles. He's got the talent. Okay, so you got to make the pitcher muddy, meaning what he sees pre-snap is going to be different post-snap, right? A lot of disguising, a lot of movement, a lot of different fronts and disguises on where to ID make him think as much as you can before the snap. So those, the mental gymnastics, he's going through all his checks and this and that. And then post snap, make him earn it, right? Like don't give him a look that you already know what the defense is doing and he knows where to go with the ball. I mean, that's what the great ones do. So I would just muddy it and be us, right? Like we bring the heat, we bring the pressure, we play man to man, mix in some timely zone calls, right? On 3rd and longs, maybe mix it in instead of bringing some pressure all the time. They'll probably dial it up with a 7-man pass pro. So just playing the cat and mouse game, but I would just say muddy the pitcher so he has to earn it after the snap.
What about on offense? Jason Beck, everything was working last week. And, when your offensive line is dominating the line of scrimmage like it was against Colorado, I don't think it's probably all that hard to call plays. We do expect that Cincinnati, while they're not one of the top defenses in the Big 12, they have a couple of really good guys on the front. I think they're going to be a stiffer test than Colorado was last Saturday. But is this still the kind of game where you're letting your offensive line work? I'm still waiting for them against a good opponent, that group that we gave so much love to, we gassed up so much. I'm still waiting to see them dominate a good team. We've seen them dominate subpar teams. They dominated against Arizona State, and that's like, I guess, a quality team. But I want to see them dominate a team that actually, has a number next to their name. I want to see them dominate a team that is standing in between you and something that actually matters and something that you really want this season. Is this one of those games where you can say, all right, you 5 go win us this football game?
Well, a lot of factors go into wanting that. The flow of the game, the system, play calling, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the hardest offenses to stop, in my opinion, are the ones that get downhill, run the ball, and then you play action and hit those shots behind them, knowing they got singled up and you got guys that can run by those corners, or making the look for those safeties hard where they come down on run defense and get sucked up. I mean, those are the things that you want to rely on and want to execute throughout a game when you have that really good O-line. And so, they gotta, they have the run game. It's just sticking to it. And, a lot of times I think it's East and West run game with the Jets and all that other stuff. And at times it's just, hey, let's just go double and get downhill and get 4 to 5 yards a pop and stay ahead of the chains. And then now you're really humming.
The Utes equipment staff revealed the hand-painted helmet that's going to be worn on Saturday night. And I was about
I got to get one of those.
I was going to ask you, what's your favorite Utah helmet you ever wore? But did you even get to wear alternate helmets? I mean,
no, we didn't have none of this fun stuff that they got going on. But man, they have had so many each year. It seems like they just get better and better. But that one is clean. There's no better logo than the drum and feather. So yeah, I mean, it's enlarged too. It's basically the whole helmet. Yeah, I'm hyped to see those in person.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I've only seen the pictures so far, but I can't wait to see it in person as well. I want to ask you, before I let you go, in the NFL, we got an announcement on Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions. 4 years, $180 million. I think he's an awesome player. I think he's a great player. I don't know how somebody at that position lives up to $45 million per year. This is a quarterback salary. It makes sense when you pay quarterbacks this much. I don't know if I believe it makes sense to pay Micah Parsons this kind of money, Aiden Hutchinson this kind of money, Myles Garrett this kind of money, even though he had 5 sacks the other day. How does Aiden Hutchinson live up to this deal?
Well, I think since they extended him it's really a 6-year, I don't know, 200 million. So really it's like 30 something million instead of 45. I know it's the new money in 45, but when you add those 2 extra years left on his current deal, it's actually a bargain. If you're looking at it, it's smart by the Lions to get ahead of it and to sign one of their cornerstones who's only going to get better and barely hasn't even hit his prime yet. So how do you live up to it? You just do your best. You don't worry about what living up to it or not. You've earned it, and just go be a good leader and work your butt off on and off the field in the community, and all that stuff will take care of itself. Like you don't really worry much about it when you do everything, try to do everything right, like within the organization, you're an extension of the head coach and all that other stuff. The stats are going to come and go. You're more important to the team on how you lead and how you act, and just as much as what you do on the field.
There's a lot of jobs open right now already in college football, and I think a couple more high-profile ones are going to open up. I mean, Florida State will potentially open up. I think Deion's going to step away for health reasons. I think Colorado's going to be open, Penn State, UCLA, LSU. These jobs are already open. Is this going to be the craziest offseason cycle we've witnessed?
It sure seems like that. I mean, has there ever been this much turnover mid-season in college? Like I don't really agree with firing the head coach mid-season, because the assistants are now not going to be coaching or believing, because they're going to be shopping themselves to other places knowing they're going to be canned. And then the players, they're all, figuring, where am I going to be next? Where's the coach going? This and that. So I don't know. It puts everyone in a tough spot. I don't think that's the right way to do it, but I'm not an athletic director or president, so it doesn't really matter what I think. But where are these coaches going to come from? Who's going to get an opportunity? Who's not? Some of these coaches probably don't need to get another shot. Some do, obviously. Names come to mind. Jay Hill is going to be a wanted man. Obviously, some other names, but it'll be interesting to say the least. Let me tell you.
Well, part of the reason I asked that question is that at some point, one of these guys that's getting a job is going to call Eric Weddle. Like, hey, I need a defensive backs coach. I need a GM. I need a defensive coordinator. How long until you start entertaining those conversations?
Well, at least 3 more years. Two more for Gage, and then 1 more after that would be the earliest. We'll see after that. But, that's a big commitment, a big life change to do something like that and take on that challenge. Everything has to be right in the home life to even entertain that idea. And right now, that's not going to happen. Chanel will be like, no, you're going, and we're staying here, and that's not the life I want to live. So
well,
it'll happen at the right time, at the right place. If it's something that I want to do, and it's got to be with the right people, right? It's so much about relationships and how you, what you think, the vision and the culture and the identity, and especially with the head coach. That's something that's very important. And if I don't have that, it's not ever going to happen. So there's a few names out there that I would entertain the idea just because I know them and know what they're about off the field and on the field, and the men that I can follow and with their direction.
Would you rather do it in the NCAA world, in college, or in the NFL?
I mean, the way things are, I would lean towards the NFL. But that's not to say that things at the right situation and you can still have that impact on the young men and try to help them. So it's just 2 different scenarios. One is all ball, and the other one's half ball, half nurturing and inspiring and this and that with these young men. So it's definitely a different ideology and mindset with the 2 different jobs.
Well, we'll see you this weekend, it sounds like. Looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us, as always, my friend.
Of course. Let's go. Go Utes. Let's go, baby.
Eric Weddle, if you see him at Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday, give him a little shout. Utah football legend. And we'll welcome another one in our next segment. Trevor Riley is going to join us in about 5 minutes. I want to remind everyone, I'd like to see a lot of you tomorrow, okay? Because Utah is 2-6 when Big Noon or game day is in town, all right? They've lost 4 in a row in this case. We're going to take the matters into our own hands. We're going to reverse this curse, okay? We're going to be at Tire World, 2627 South, 300 West. We're going to have a coffin, all right? I've been told it is a red coffin. I am not sure if it's been used or pre-owned or anything, but we're going to have a coffin for you to lay to rest whatever bad juju there is on College game day, on Big Noon kickoff. If you want to bring a T-shirt that you wore and you think has something bad attached to it, if you want to just, I don't know, spit out a bad memory for us, if you have a game program, if you have a souvenir cup from one of these bad games, come on down, lay it to rest. We're going to reverse the curse, get all the bad juju out on game day and on Big Noon kickoff games at Tire World tomorrow, 11 to 2. We'll be doing the show live, 2627 South, 300 West. Trevor Riley next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. One Utah football legend to another. Eric Weddle, last segment. Trevor Riley now joins us to talk about the win over Colorado and looking ahead to this Cincinnati matchup. Trevor Riley, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Wasn't it great to see all those guys on the field before the game on Saturday?
It was absolutely spectacular. Homecoming night at Rice-Eccles Stadium, perfect weather, bunch of the old guys there. Man, it's just I was having this conversation with Casey Evans because, you spend, in my case, 2 years in that situation around those people. Even if it's 4, it's still a brief little snapshot of your life. But then you're bound to those people for the rest of your life. And when you see your old teammates from 20 years ago, you don't really skip a beat. It's really one of the unique things about being an athlete and being involved in team sports. Pretty cool.
It is. The locker room thing, for better or for worse, it sticks with you. And I think that last night was a good sign. It was good to see some guys and just fellowship a little bit and see where everybody's been at. It was great. As far as the game goes, I mean, the game was over in, 5 minutes? it was over, man. Colorado threw up the white flag, and Bert Ficklin looks like, Steve Slayton.
That was
Pat White, excuse me. He looks like Pat White out there, dude.
He did look like Pat White. It was great to see kind of his emergence as a starter. We've seen him and seen good things from him in the spot duty, and then he gets the call. Devin can't quite go, although he did tell us yesterday, and we heard it last week as well, that in an emergency situation, if Bird had been struggling or if, something bad was going on, Devin was healthy enough that he probably could have gone, just didn't think it was the best call to have him be, the full-time starter in that particular game. But what we got now a better glimpse into what Bird Ficklin is and hopefully will be long-term as the starter for Utah football. He was spectacular in the run game. He made some great throws. He also probably wishes he had a couple of those throws back, and, he didn't have the best percentage in terms of passing. But overwhelmingly positive what we saw from Bird Ficklin. So Kyle Whittingham sat down, and you heard him. He said, no, there's no quarterback controversy. Does Utah now have 2 quarterbacks and a decision to make?
100%. They got a real issue because they're better running the ball. So if you're going to run the football, that's going to be a tough thing not to have 15 on the field. If that's going to be if we're going to be a 60% run team, which we have been, it seems like, that's an issue, Sean. You know what I mean? You may have a senior who's really good and he's playing fantastic or whatever number our quarterback is, but he is a little banged up, and 15 looks to be the better runner. And if that's the case, I see an offense that reminds me of the service academies at times. Would take away the weird formations, but the idea is to just run you over, and they're beating you with on the edges. That veer option, or we're running basically a veer option. We're running it with now a fly sweep. They're running it with the quarterback all over the field. So I think it could be a situation where you play 2. We've seen that work before, right, OC? We've seen it work in Florida and a few other places, but it's few and far between. But I think Urban did it with Chris Leak and Tebow the first year. They won a natty, I think.
That's right. And actually, it was a very similar dynamic when you're talking about it was when Tebow was the freshman. It was really his physicality, his running ability that made him such a valuable weapon. And you could put both of those guys on the field at the same time, confuse a defense as to how – I mean, you know what I want to see, Trevor? I don't know if we'll get it, but what I want to see is I want to see Bird and Devin both standing back there in shotgun, and none of us know who's going to get the snap. That's what I want to see.
Dude. I mean, that is something that probably it's being talked about, OC, and I agree with you on that. I have this thing now in college football, and really in Colorado with Dion and that crew. What they taught me down south when I went down there to HBCU ball, at the very bottom, at the very top, it's still a matchup league, okay? And so what you're talking about is getting your best weapons on the field, and 100% agree with you on that. I'd love to see them both on the field with number 1. I keep saying this, dude. 1 is the guy. It's not being talked about enough. Number 1 is the guy. And when he's on the field, it makes that quarterback run game a whole lot easier because 21 you can deal with. One's a 60-yard run waiting to happen. So I agree with you. There's going to be some formational changes that we'll have to see. But again, though, see, we got to decide if we're going to, are we going to be a balanced attack? Are we going to be a primarily running team? To your point, do we have a quarterback controversy? We're going to see in the first couple. I would say the first 15 plays. We'll see where Jason Beck's head is in this game. But I imagine we're going to be running the football.
And you want to see him do it with Wayshawn Parker, who had a great game against Colorado, went over 100 yards for the first time this season. Daniel Bray, 13. He's been awesome in these last couple of weeks as well. But Wayshawn, I mean, he's a hard guy to tackle.
It makes the first guy miss, and when you watch him, he runs like a sprinter. His head doesn't move. Okay, he's got that, I don't know, dare I say Dickerson type. He's not running like that, but he runs with that upright body where it's like he looks like a Minotaur. You know what I'm saying, with those little legs and that upper body where Zach ran like that a little bit, but he just kind of makes it happen. And then we got a quarterback who's averaging 8-9 yards a carry. It's going to be tough. We're going to have to see, though, if Ficklin, if they end up, we play a team that can stop the run there. I wasn't that impressed with his throwing. Right, the ball was a little ugly coming out of there at times. It looked better in the previous games, but I like where we're at, man. I said it before last week. We can win out, and I think our odds of making the playoff are around 15% based on a lot of these pro polls, right?
Well, it's actually going to be really tough to make it into the Big 12 championship game. And then there's the other conversation about whether or not the Big 12 can be a two-bid league and have, a non-participant in the championship game get another bid. We saw that. We've seen that in the Big 10. We've seen that in the SEC. We have not seen the ACC or the Big 12 yet provide a playoff team that didn't contend for the conference championship.
Well, Utah has an issue because we have to win big now. Okay, if that's the case, then what you're talking about is we got to win. We got to beat spreads. And Utah went on a run like this. If everybody can remember back to 2007, right? They had that big loss against UNLV, and then all of a sudden they won 9 straight. So we're hoping for that turn, man. We need that turn here. And on Saturday, it looked like it was just a complete bludgeoning. I mean, you talk about fish in a barrel. They were just putting them away, man. Every play they ran was fantastic. So the offensive line looked at as they should. We still haven't seen OC. Are we going to get a guy who can make plays down the field? I think we schemed up a few plays for 12, but we know he's not necessarily so dynamic. He reminds me of Damari Simpkins. He's the guy who's going to get it done. He's kind of like 9. So that's what I'm looking for this next week. Are we going to be challenged to go down the field? We didn't have to last week. And if we do, who's that guy?
Well, I want to ask you about when Utah's defense is on the field, because Morgan called a masterful game. The execution was awesome. We saw 2s and 3s in there against Colorado starters at the end of the game, and it was a Colorado team that at that point surrendered. But even, Christian Ellis was just dominating in that game. So saw really good things from the defense, but Sorsby and the Cincinnati offense are a completely different animal. Sorsby takes care of the ball better than just about anyone in the country. He's got 20 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's been sacked 2 times total this year. How do you affect that guy when he gets the ball out so quickly?
It's hard to beat that. It's hard to deal with math. If you're getting the ball out that fast, that's a great job by the kid. Give him a little bit of credit on that one. But the running backs, they got some speed there. I watched them play now. They got speed at the skill position. Thing I just kind of talked about. It's a good segue. They have what we don't, which is down the thread options, okay? So I see a great matchup because I'm really high on our corners. I think our corners is the way you handle that quarterback, right? If you can disrupt timing early on for a quarterback who likes getting the ball early, that's what we used to do with Tom Brady. We used to really, really try to get our hands on those receivers within 5 yards. That was always the game plan going into with him. Dude, you got to disrupt the timing, he'll eat you up. So I'm not trying to compare this QB to Tom Brady, but if you've only been sacked twice and you're getting the ball out that fast and their offense is explosive, he's having one of those type of seasons. We got to lock him up in coverage. And that means Scally's going to have to probably bring that safety down, stop the run, and we'll match up with his corners. But I like where we're at defensively. We're getting better every week. And Barton and everybody's kind of trending towards the right way. Last week was a slaughter. And if we can just maintain, OC, we have yet to maintain after these, we've only played 4 teams worth of darn. We got to maintain. We got to be consistent.
When you look at the daunting task ahead with Cincinnati, and you couple it with the curse that has existed in all of these nationally televised, nationally prominent games with Big Noon Kickoff, and ESPN Game Day. Players, right, they're not involved in a lot of that stuff. I mean, your quarterback might have to do an extra interview or two. Your defensive captain might have to do an extra interview or two. Your coaches, that's also the case. It's a fan experience thing for game day and for Big Noon Kickoff. But, you know, Utes are 2-6 in these scenarios now. How do you reverse this curse?
I would do everything opposite. I know it sounds crazy, but I would try to find ways to just kind of, you know, manufacture a breaking of the curse. You know, they used to talk about rally caps in baseball, right? The rally monkey for the 0-1 Angels. You find ways when you're down there. I remember one time in 18, we lost a couple in a row, and I was the GA at the time, or I was undergrad assistant on the offensive side. We started doing eating contests, and it worked. We started winning. With the coaching staff, we started doing. So you find ways, right? This is where it's cliche and cheesy as it sounds. This is what we're paying these coaches for. They got to find a way to get your guys ready to play on Saturday when the chips are on the dang table. Gosh dang it! All right, to your point, 2-6 is not how we roll, man. We have got to flip this thing, and I feel like the coaches are on the right path. I'm telling you, if one plays in 15 and 4, we got a great shot to win this game, dude.
All right, we're gonna have Eric Weddle in the building. We're going to have Alex Smith in the building as he's the celebrity picker on game day. Is Trevor Riley going to be in the building again?
Yeah, I think I will be. Okay, I'm coming in tomorrow. All right, I'm flying in tomorrow, and I'm getting excited. I'm be rallying the troops because we're not having that showing again. Cincinnati, I've been to that city. It's an okay town. It's all right, but it ain't Salt Lake. Gosh dang, see, I'm getting fired up here because I'm getting angry. We're not going to lose this game, dude. We got too much on the line, and I really believe this coaching staff, right, is going to have him ready to go. And yeah, Alex Smith, you know, and Weddle. I was at near Weddle's practice the other day. He's coaching him up at Rancho Bernardo High School, and his son is unbelievable. Have you seen his son play?
Dude, yes. He moves like his dad, but he's 3 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier.
My nephew, Casey Buswell, is his quarterback for him, and I watched the tape. He's rolling right and flips a 70-yard bomb, dude. You fans, we got to get rallied up, man. It's time to get some cheese together. But this guy, Weddle, he has an unbelievable sense of the field, and he's unbelievable, dude. So I'm sorry, I'm excited about him because he's the next one up. And to your point, am I going to be in the town? Yes, I am going to be in town. We're going to get fired up in that pregame show with Porter Larson. Well,
I look forward to seeing you out there on Saturday night. Are you going to be wearing a Halloween costume?
Well, what do you think I should wear? What should I come as?
Just
I
come.
haven't done Halloween in 20 years.
Just come dressed in all your old gear. All right. See if we can sneak you. Let's see if we can sneak you into the game. You could still play.
I got that dad bod going a little bit. I'll have a little bit of a pooch there, so I don't know how that's going to go, dude.
That'll be all right. You might. It's like that Toby Keith song, right? Not as good as you once were, but as good once as you ever were, right?
That's right.
He put you out
goal line.
There, perfect. That's all we need.
I don't got to run, dude.
All right, dude. We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks for your time.
All right, guys.
Trevor Riley, Utah football legend. All right, I've got a BGR gift card, and I've got a 4-pack to the sneak preview for Predator Badlands at Jordan Commons, November 4th at 7. You got to answer a trivia question, though. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92 on FM. All right, we have a good prize pack, so I'm going to ask a tough trivia question. 877-353-0700. The hand-painted helmets have become a tradition at the University of Utah. Every year they roll one out. It's awesome. The fan base either gets excited about it or gets mad about it, but it's great. Okay? How many different colors of hand-painted helmet? I'm talking the primary color of the helmet. How many different colors of hand-painted helmet have they rolled out at the University of Utah? You got to think about it a little bit. How many different colors? James Peterson bonus points if you can tell me exactly which colors those are. 877-353-0700. That's, of course, for a BGR gift card, Burgers Grilled Right, 1202 Wilmington in Sugar House that gave us the hot lunch today, and the sneak preview pack of 4 tickets for Predator Badlands next week at Jordan Commons. God's country down there on State Street at the Jordan Commons, site of the original Jordan High School. Go Beat Diggers. Spence Checketts in the drive are next. He's here in studio with me. Hi, Spence.
Haven't seen you in a few days, Sean. You've been out and about. How have the remotes gone? Sounded good.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of fun up there at the Red Zone yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a fun one coming tomorrow at Tire World where we're going to do our best to bury the past, exorcise the demons of the game day and big noon kickoff curse. We're encouraging people to bring down their souvenirs, their game programs, their T-shirts, their whatever, and we're going to throw it all in a coffin. And I'm going to set it on fire.
Will you be dressed up?
As myself, yes.
Well, I mean, it's Halloween. If you're going to exercise some demons, I feel like there's some ideas we could come up with costume-wise.
Yeah, I don't think I'll wear a costume.
Are you a fan of Halloween? I mean, you're a father of youngins,
yes.
So it's going to be part of the deal. But Sean O'Connell personally, give me like peak Sean O'Connell college Halloween experience.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy Halloween in college. I'll tell you why. Because I was bouncing. I was working the doors at bars and clubs.
Okay.
And there is no worse job, or no worse night on that job than Halloween.
Yeah.
It is a nightmare.
Yeah.
All the guys are all worked up because of how all the girls are dressed in their costumes, and none of the guys are going home with who they want to go home with. And then at the end of the night, they all get mad and want to fight. It is bad for a bouncer.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense from a bouncer standpoint. From just a student standpoint, Halloween was awesome.
Halloween's the greatest when you're in college
gosh.
if you're not working on Halloween, but I did every single time.
No, it's fair. It's fair. I'm thinking because I'll be at Smith's tomorrow for the pregame tailgate situation.
Nice.
Do you have a bin of old Halloween costumes at your disposal? Like if you had to put together, like if Kendall was like, hey, we're going to a Halloween party tonight, you have to dress up as something. What do you have at your disposal that you could grab?
I probably would have to go with like, I could always do something Star Wars related.
Okay. Nerd.
Yes. I have multiple lightsaber options at my disposal.
Okay.
And, just like cowboy type stuff probably.
Okay, so you could pull it off if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I've been listening to you all
dressing
week.
Up?
Well, I may be going to a Halloween gathering tomorrow night, so there's a chance I might. But look, I'm
plus one or single?
Plus one. And I'll
couples costume?
Well, what's on the table at this point is me dressing up as a golfer, which is just like I'll put on what I would put on Saturday when I go play anyway, and my date would be my caddy. And the idea is she would just yell at me all night and give me life advice and tips, which probably won't end well, but we might just try it on and see how it goes.
All right, cool.
Give me your thoughts on this whole availability report topic with Witt. I've heard you touch on it a little bit, and I feel like your opinion on it is probably tied to who you cheer for. You've got a lot of BYU fans calling him a liar. You've got a lot of Utah homers saying he's handled it perfectly. He hasn't handled it perfectly. But this was kind of my anticipation, because for years Kyle said, if they make me do it, I will happily do it. And no part of me believed that. So even when the conference was like, hey, we're going to do this now, I was kind of eager to see how Kyle would get around it, and it's been pretty clear that he has been able to do that. But where are you at with it?
Well, look, I'm not surprised at all. He made it pretty clear from the get-go. To be fair to Coach Witt, right, he did say in the past, if everyone has to do it, I'll do it also.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're like, okay, you have to do it, he was like, when? Now. For conference games only, or for
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
all the games? They're
Right,
like, well,
right.
it's a conference policy, so I guess for conference games only. And he's like, haha, gotcha.
Yep.
As
Mhm.
soon as he gave us that indication, to
Yeah.
be fair to him, it was like, all right, transparency is not a thing we should expect.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's gaming this system like he tries to game every system.
Yep.
And I'm not surprised by that. And I do think that he's trying to comply with the letter of the law portion of it rather than the spirit of the law portion of it. Whereas guys like Coach Prime, I don't know if you saw the Colorado injury report last
It's like half
week.
their team.
It was everybody who had a cold.
Right. Yeah.
It's like questionable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Coach Witt, I think after the little slap on the wrist, he was like, wait, so if they practice and their practice habits are relatively unaffected, I don't have to worry about you getting mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin practiced last week.
Yeah.
And took starter reps. So he was just like, yeah, I can just not put him on the report if I don't want to. So
Do you think the conference at some point comes down on him? Because unless that happens, he's not going to change the approach.
he's got 5 more games. And
Yeah.
if they come down on him, he's just going to be like, is there a fine associated?
Yeah.
Not yet?
Right,
All
right.
See you next week.
Are you more convinced now than you ever have been that this is it?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I
So
am.
we're there. We're there. You
I
believe
believe
this?
so.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
not because of any conversation I've had with him
Yeah.
or anyone close to him, but just, well, I shouldn't say that actually. When he told me during the bye week, Coach, how'd you win the bye week? He's like, I hung out with my grandkids.
Mhm.
That's not an answer that you get from Kyle Whittingham 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not criticizing it at all. I think it's wonderful. Priorities, family, that stuff should matter to anyone in life. If you're rounding into your 60s and you love being a grandpa, you're not solving the world's problems or your team's problems every hour of every day during the bye week. By all means, go hang out with your grandkids. But it's just not the way things used to be, and I think that's an indication. And I also do think that he acknowledges everyone, like, when this conversation comes up, everyone starts to build this, like, it's Coach Witt versus the team. It's Coach Witt versus the fan base. It's Coach Witt versus Morgan Scalley. And I don't think it's that at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think he really views himself as the figurehead and, more importantly, the steward of Utah football, who will, when he makes the decision, do so with what he thinks is the best interest of the program in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now he's leaning towards this, probably going out on a relatively high note. Whether you make it to the conference championship or not, this is a team that I believe is going to finish 10-2 or 9-3. That is a more than respectable season. And then the bowl game and whatever else.
Yeah, and I asked him during BYU week, during the rivalry game week, I gently alluded to it, right? Where in the past, he would have been a little bit more defiant, I think. He was more open to the conversation and answering the question. Essentially said, well, I don't want to overstay my welcome. I've got to be careful with that. And look, I don't know that I am, and maybe you're more familiar with the portion of this community that does feel like it's time for him to go. I haven't heard a lot of that. But look, I hang out with my friends and my dog.
Yeah.
Duke doesn't have an opinion on the matter. He seems to be fine either way. So Duke does not care if Coach Witt stays or goes. And I think my friends are my age and old enough to really respect what he's done for 2 decades. And therefore, I think all of us are just kind of like, you tell us when you're done, dude. Like, you've earned the right to do that.
I think he has earned the right to do that. I just think that it's going to come this year.
Yeah.
And I think that we heard from plenty of people, especially after the BYU game, like, that's the one. That's what showed people, okay, now it's time. I was very critical of his decisions in that game, but didn't say, well, they're separate for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can hate what you did in this particular game.
Yeah.
I can not like the decisions and still be like, well, you're still the best coach this university's had.
Yeah.
And you still get to decide. And if that's this year, next year, 10 years from now, it's still up to you.
Yeah. I think you were very fair. I thought your show on Monday after the BYU game, for any listener who didn't hear that, I thought you kind of set the tone really for the station all week. I think you set a good example about how to unpack those 4th down calls as far as the chain, right? It wasn't just the decision to go. We got to talk about the play call. We got to talk about the execution. Like, I've said it before, and you know this better than anybody. It is the ultimate team game, more so than any other team sport. And it's not won or lost by one coach or one player. Yeah. So, and nothing that happens this year. And look, to your point, 9-3 and 10-2 would both be awesome. But nothing that happens this year changes what he's done for 20 years.
No. And by the way, it's because of him that you might be among those fans that's like 10-2 is a disappointment.
For sure.
That's silly.
Yeah.
And all of us feel that way, at least on some level, because of Kyle Whittingham, because of the great job that he has done with this program.
For sure.
And by the way, I'll let you go after this.
You're good.
You look at it and you say, last week was perfect, right? You look at it and you say, oh, man, this offensive line, a lot of these guys are graduating, moving on to the NFL. Last week, we saw 3 freshmen that every single one of us are just over the moon to see what their career becomes.
Yeah.
And a couple of the guys on defense too. The next Ellis in the chain, right? There's young talent in this pipeline that you're just like, oh,
yeah.
He hasn't exactly lost the fastball in identifying talent and starting to develop that talent.
Yeah.
Daniel Bray, Buchanan, Bird, everyone wants to see these guys not only this week, but for the next 3 years.
Future's bright, man. Future's bright.
Stay tuned for the Drive with Spence Checketts. Thanks to everyone who listened. We'll do it again tomorrow, live from Tire World. Come down and exercise your demons on the Big Noon kickoff and game day front. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.